Across the UK, online and on DAB.
It's a new frontier in broadcasting. The Two Mics on Talk Radio.
We'll get you talking.
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, and you're listening to The Two Mics. It's a red letter day here at Talk Radio, but not just because it's my birthday. We've got a host of guests joining us, ranging from impressionist John Coleshaw to wine expert Helena Nicklin. We'll be finding out why Porky wants to start shooting polar bears and what on earth is going on with the weather. You can tweet us at The Two Mics, at Talk Radio, and you can call us on 0344 499 1000. Coming up a little bit later on in the show, it is Porkyvision as well, the best TV review this side of Anchorage, Alaska. You're listening to The Two Mics right here on Talk Radio.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
The Two Mics on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
We are The Two Mics. He's Mike Parry, I'm Mike Graham, and it's time to say a very, very good afternoon to the one Mike who isn't having a birthday today, the jealous one.
And it's time to say to you, happy birthday, Mike.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And you may think I've forgotten you, but I haven't. Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
like
dear MG. Happy birthday
You're ahead of it.
to you.
You're ahead of it. Thank you very much indeed.
So there you are. You
I'm
thought
very
I'd
touched.
forgotten you and all that.
Have you got me a present?
I have got you a present.
Have
yeah,
you?
Yeah, I have.
What have you got me?
I think you'll find that our assistant is just bringing it in.
The
here.
glamorous assistant has appeared with a paper bag.
Exactly. Well, it's not a paper bag. It's a presentation pack.
Oh, a presentation
Yeah,
pack.
that's
okay.
right, yeah.
It's
There you
very
go.
nice. It says cheers on the front.
It does, yeah.
It's getting a bit stained, by the way.
No, I'm sorry. It's because of the rainstorm
Are
outside.
you sure it's not like second-hand?
No, it's not second-hand. There's nothing second-hand about what I've
There's
got you.
a little silver label here which you've neglected to write on.
I didn't have time to fill it in.
You didn't
I'm
have
sorry.
time to write on that?
No.
So are you sure you haven't just stolen this
No,
from somebody else?
no, not at all.
It looks like a bottle. Ooh,
Well,
I say.
you love whiskey, don't you? You love
I
malt
do.
whiskey.
A single malt Scotch whiskey,
Yes.
aged 12 years.
Yes.
It's the maritime malt, Old Pulteney.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Very nice.
Okay.
From Wick in Scotland.
From Wick in
Wick.
Scotland. From Wick.
Let's have a look.
But anyway, listen, what I thought this would be
I say.
this would be one for you to take home, obviously.
This is nice.
you
No,
don't-
we should have it now.
No.
We should definitely have it now.
No, honestly.
Listen, this is the way to start the show.
No.
It's Wednesday.
No,
it's
no.
my birthday, right? I
No.
know that you're not a big whiskey
No,
fan.
no.
I think we should open it.
No, it's a very expensive whiskey.
Yeah, well, so what?
Well, no. They
Have you got a cup there? Give us a cup.
Yeah, I've got a cup. No, you don't need to taste it now, honestly.
I think we should.
No, I thought you would take it home.
Give me one of yours, and
Okay.
I'll give you. We'll do a quick
No,
shot,
no,
shall we?
listen, I thought you'd take it home, put it in the back, and it'd be a special whiskey for after dinner. You don't need to taste it.
No, look.
You don't need to taste it.
It's really nice.
You don't
Let's just do a quick shot of whiskey.
I would not. I mean, look, I don't drink on
Are there any
duty.
rules against drinking on the show?
I don't drink on duty.
Why not?
Well,
let's just knock it back. You'll be all right. All right, ready?
Well,
Slanch. Slanchivar.
Sanchivar,
what we say
okay,
in Scotland,
Sanchivar, okay.
There
It's
you
got
go.
a very unique taste, I'm told.
That's not whiskey.
Of course it's
And it's not
you
whiskey.
idiot. What
is it?
It's whiskey.
What have I just drunk? That is not whiskey.
Of
It's
course-
like coloured water, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Is it tea? It's tea, isn't it?
No, it's not.
What a disgraceful little horrible man you are.
No, look.
You've given me a bottle of tea.
No, I haven't. I've given you a bottle
This
of
is
tea.
not whiskey.
It's
not
look,
whiskey.
I had a problem.
What do you mean you had a problem?
I couldn't get my wine guy to get over last night with the proper
Couldn't
stuff.
you have just bought something on the way in? You could have
I
stopped at
couldn't.
Waterloo Station.
I'm
and got
awfully
something.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's disgraceful.
I admit,
you are lowest of the low.
No, hang
Once
on,
again,
hang on,
No,
hang
once
on,
again, you
hang on.
have completely and utterly
Yeah.
managed to creep even lower in my estimation than you were before.
I'm going to get you a proper bottle.
What a complete scumbag you are.
That's an outrageous
That's
thing
awful.
to.
I'm not going to throw it, so I'm going to break the bottle. But I mean, quite frankly, I'm disgusted with
Why?
you. Because you've given me a fake bottle of whiskey.
No, that's why I told you not to open it, because I was going to say to you after the show, look, I
don't
didn't
even
have
know
time
what
to get you a
I mean,
proper
what's
one.
in there?
It is
How
cold
have
tea.
Have I imbibed something horrible?
No, it's cold tea.
Cold tea?
Yeah, it's cold tea. I did it myself
So
last
you went
night.
to all the trouble of faking a bottle of whiskey. It's typically you, that.
Well, it's very expensive, you see, and
Where'd you get the bottle, then?
well, it's one I had.
Well, you had an empty bottle of whiskey lying around.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, look, I have to admit, but I mean, the
God.
point is, I will get you the real thing. I
Really?
promise. I'll get you the real thing.
I'm not sure I can trust you again.
Well, you know,
This is
I
like
mean,
the time you gave me some cookies with shaving foam inside.
toothpaste it was actually.
toothpaste?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's horrible. Anyway,
Well,
listen, that's enough of my birthday
yeah,
because
it
I've had enough
certainly
of
is.
you,
Yeah,
and I now have to sit
yeah.
here for 3 hours.
You're very ungrateful.
We are getting some proper drinking later on because
You're
we are
very-
getting Helena Nicklin, who's the wine bird,
Very-
at the wine bird she's known as on Twitter.
Yes.
She's bringing some wine in for for me. And I bet you she doesn't fill those bottles up with water.
Well, I didn't mean to, but I mean, what else could I do? It was a symbolic present. You get the real thing later, don't worry.
I was ready to suck down a nice hit of whiskey.
Well, I told you not to taste it,
warm me up.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, coming up, we're going to talk to James Dellingpole.
Yeah.
He's from Breitbart. He's going to tell us about the polar bear cull and why there should be one.
Yes.
Why do you want to shoot all these polar bears, by the way?
I don't want to shoot them all, but the point is that due to the...
Apparently there's 30,000 of them now.
Due to the propaganda of the greenhouses, right?
The greenhouses?
Yeah, do you remember the famous picture
like
of...
Rutger Hauer?
Remember the famous picture? I mean, you know that guy who ran for president, didn't get there, and made a film called An Inconvenient Truth?
The Inconvenient Truth, Al Gore.
Al Gore.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the centrepiece of that was a polar bear floating around on a little bit of ice, the only bit of ice left in the Arctic.
Disappearing, yeah.
In fact, what it was, that polar bear was actually transporting himself and using the piece of ice as a taxi from one floe to another. That's well known what polar bears do.
Okay.
But ever since everyone said, the polar bears are dying, they're not. There are so many polar bears.
Well, they were, I think, then. I think that's the point.
No.
The population of polar bears was down to about 5,000 in those days.
Well, do you know how many there are now?
There's now 30,000.
Over 30,000 polar bears, and it means we're going to have to start culling them.
Well, good luck with culling a polar bear because you need to send in the SAS, I think, to do that.
No,
they're very dangerous creatures.
No, you shoot it straight between the eyes as it's running towards you.
Have you not heard that story that's on the news about people who are unkind to animals? They later grow up to become murderers and horrible people.
Yeah, this is not being unkind to animals. This is being
kind
to animals.
Well, you're killing them.
If you cull one animal, it's to save the others. There won't be any seals left in the Arctic if we don't cull the polar bears.
Well, why do you care about the seals, but you don't care about the polar bears?
Well, the thing is, the polar bears eat the seals,
Yeah.
and the seals are needed for the little sealets, the little baby seals.
Yeah, but what if there are no seals? How different would the world be?
It'd be massively different.
Why?
So massively negative to
Why?
have no seals, because seals are great things. They're great animals.
Yeah,
great
well, they
creatures.
are, but so are polar bears. I mean, what's the difference?
Well, nothing. If we kill half the polar bears and reduce it to 15,000, there won't be a problem.
And what do you do with all the carcasses of these dead polar bears? If you make 15,000 dead polar bears, that's a mountain of polar bears.
It certainly is.
What are you going to do with them?
What do you do with them? What you do with any other animal that you cull? You have to.
Well, no, that's
bring
not
them
quite
down.
the same as culling hedgehogs. They're a lot smaller.
Yeah. But you got to understand, you're in a part of the world which is frozen for a lot of the year, so they just put them in big holes, big mounds of frozen nothingness. You know what I mean?
Big mounds of frozen nothingness. It doesn't sound to me like you thought this plan through.
Well, it's not my plan. It's a plan that I've read about in my
your polar bear killing journals.
No, in
polar bear killing weekly.
No, in my nature journals.
No, really.
I've picked all this up. Yeah.
Okay, what else are we doing on the show today?
Well, what else are we doing on the show today? We're going to be talking about the invasion of a lot of hornets who are coming our way,
right?
And could be here for 20 years.
Well, it's just like animal magic today, then.
It's a bit like animal magic, but the other thing is,
I haven't actually seen as many hornets in Sussex this year as we saw last year. Last year we had a massive hornet problem. This year there haven't been so many.
They're all here now. The other thing that I want to talk to you about is the fact that. You fancy yourselves a bit of a cook. That's why you're always putting out all sorts of pictures of the exotic dishes.
I made some great shepherd's pie last night.
Excellent, well done. That's great. And there is a new phenomenon where you can make yourself wealthy by putting out a 90-second bite-sized cooking video on your social network.
Well, I mean, you know that my
get rich.
Some of my recipes are available on the twomics.co.uk. So if you want to go there and find out how to make some of the stuff that I make,
want to go there and find that out?
Well, because that's why we have a website. Why would you make fun of your own website? You complete plonker.
Load of rubbish.
All right, or they could go there and find out what your recipes are on there, because I think you've got a fish finger pyramid recipe, haven't you?
I didn't do it, but somebody did it for me.
All right, so you don't know what's actually on the website. Is that what you're telling me?
I know exactly what's on the website. A young lady called Kate Murdoch, 24, from Surrey. She is one of the world's most successful bite-sized cooking video queens.
Oh, yeah. And what's her name?
Her name is Kate Murdoch.
Are we talking to her, then?
We are going to be trying to talk to her, definitely.
So you haven't managed to organise that?
Yes, I've organised that.
Have you done any work at all for this show?
Yeah, I've done a lot.
Are you sure?
Well, I got you whiskey, didn't I?
No, you got me a bottle of water.
Yeah, but look, listen, hear me out. You know when you see...
I'm not even sure I want to look at you, never mind hear you out.
Hang on. You know when you go to an expensive cocktail bar and you see all the bottles behind the bar?
I'm going to go to one later on this afternoon.
Yeah, they're not real
You're not
bottles.
coming.
They're not real... I don't want to come. They're not real bottles, are they? They are just fake bottles.
That's rubbish. That is not true.
I did borrow that off a mate of mine.
That's not true.
Runs a pub.
No, only you would know people that have fake stuff behind a bar.
Well...
Bars I go to, they have real stuff behind the bar.
Yes.
If you ask for a glass of old Pulteney, they actually reach for it, they pour it out into your glass and they put it back. Yeah, and it's got real whiskey in it.
Yeah, but not every bottle you see behind a bar is a real bottle.
No, that's not true. You're absolutely incorrect about that.
That was a prop, but it was symbolic. I will, of course, get you an exact replica of that whiskey, Old Poulton.
Oh, yeah?
From, where's it from? Fife?
It's from Wick.
Wick, that's it. There you go.
They don't really make whiskey in Fife.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't said that I'm getting on your Wick.
Well, you are,
because
actually.
I thought you might have.
You are absolutely getting on my Wick. I'm
cliche.
sitting here having to restrain myself from getting you around the throat and actually putting you down.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean?
That's something you should
Anyway,
be thinking about.
we'll be talking to James Delingpole about the polar bears. We will be talking as well to a very famous impersonator called John Culshaw.
He's a great guy.
Doing spitting image, right?
That's right.
But he now does people like Boris Johnson. He now does people like Jeremy Corbyn.
I hope he does Donald Trump.
So he'll probably do Donald Trump as well. We'll do a bit of that. We're going to also talk to a guy called JJ who owns a cafe in Gorleston-on-Sea in Norfolk.
Lovely place.
Because apparently, imagine if you owned a cafe by the sea.
Well, this is what I'm
in
saying.
this weather. It's absolutely depressing. It's awful. I hate it. How can it be raining on my birthday?
Down in Southsea, where I live, I live near Southsea.
You don't live anywhere near Southsea.
I do.
You live in Gosport, the crime capital of Britain.
No, Gosport's across the harbour from Southsea, and I can tell you, it's so miserable when you see mums and dads taking their kids down there in August, where they want to play on the beach and build sandcastles
Thank
and all
God
that.
I'm going away.
And honestly, it is so miserable. I don't know what's happened to the
Hey,
English
by the
weather,
way,
but we're going to find out.
you know when I go away, right, next week?
Yes.
Tell everybody what you're going to do.
What do you mean?
You're going to do the show on your own, aren't you?
Of course I am.
Have you practiced giving out the numbers? You need a lot of calls.
It'll be a marked improvement, mate, on
let's hear the non-mangled mouth version of the number.
Sure. Give us a call, please, because I'm going to want to talk to you next week as well.
Yeah.
It's
Book your call now for when Porky's on his own.
Shut up. The number is 0344
Yes.
499
Correct.
1000.
That's it. 0344 499 1000. Should we be killing all these polar bears, or has Porky gone completely bonkers, stark raving mad? This is Talk Radio.
The 21st century dream team of dialogue, debate and discourse. The Two Mics on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Talk Radio, we are the Two Mics. Coming up a little bit later on, Porkyvision, of course. There's some pretty good reaction to your appalling trick that you played on me earlier on.
Yeah.
Jane says this, isn't that what old Porky's Dipso cleaner did to him, only with gravy and not tea?
What?
Hashtag tight-fisted plank. Remember that woman that was working for you, but used to drink all the booze and then refill the bottles with water?
It's my cleaning lady, and I'm sorry to have to say that she passed away.
John says you should pour it over Porky's head, MG, the tight git. And Charlie says, shocking behaviour by Porky, serving up MG a bottle of cold tea on his birthday.
Well,
tight-fisted skin flint.
No, it was symbolic. It was symbolic. I mean, look, where do you think I got the old beautiful case from, the beautiful bottle and all that kind of stuff?
Well,
you know
I don't know. I've really no idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to more important matters because, as we were just discussing, the polar bear problem has become very large indeed. Instead of the 5,000 that used to be alive when Al Gore was campaigning on their behalf, there's now 30,000 of them. It must be the first time Al Gore's actually added something to the Earth's population rather than taking it away. Let's talk to James Delingpole, who wrote about this some months ago. James, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, Porky Parry here has sort of woken up to the problem of the polar bears, and he's now kind of joining forces, he says, with those who believe that there should be a polar bear cull. But you've been recommending this for a while.
I think I first wrote about this about 10 years ago in a book called How to Be Right. And it was just pointing out that this creature, the polar bear, which has become like the poster child, the poster animal for the global warming movement, that man is dying, the planet is dying because of our selfishness and greed. And I was pointing out that a population which increases sixfold in a period of 60 years, it was then, is not a species in any kind of danger. It sounds more like a pest to me. But you couldn't say this at the time because, of course, everyone knew that they'd seen that moving Al Gore movie where the animated version of a polar bear sits on a melting ice floe and slowly drifts away, and we presume it's going to die.
This would be the movie that the court in Surrey, I think it was, said that could not be put on at schools because it was not, in fact, a non-fiction.
They tried to do that, didn't they?
Yeah.
But I reckon that lots of schools have shown that film without kind of adding the list of criticisms that they're supposed to tell the kids.
Yes, I'm sure that's true.
I think kids are still being brainwashed. And I think if you ask most kids how endangered is the polar bear, they'd say, oh, really, really, really endangered.
That's right. Can I just tell you, James, you are the first person to have spotted it. You've now been backed up by eminent scientists. For instance, can I tell you there's a zoologist called Susan Crockford of the University of Victoria, British Columbia. She says certain areas of Canada have reached full capacity of polar bears, OK? And the Global Warming Policy Foundation says scientists are finding that polar bears are well distributed throughout their range and adapting well to changes in sea ice. Numbers are becoming uncontrollable. So you got it right first. What are we going to do now, James? We need now to send people out and cull these polar bears before they sort of become a pest to the world, as you've already indicated.
I can think of lots of candidates who I think should go out and cull these bears. But I think the bears should be given a chance. I think these people should be sent out maybe with a fruit knife, maybe. I can think of lots of candidates for that, because obviously environmentalists still feel very passionately about polar bears, and they feel passionately about justice. So I think if they even it out in that way, look, the polar bear is the most vicious mammal on the planet, isn't it? I think I remember rightly that it's one of only two animals that actually hunts humans deliberately, rather than sort of getting them by accident like sharks.
Yes.
The other one, of course, is the estuarine crocodile, the saltwater crocodile in Australia. Well, I suppose crocodiles generally actually do that.
Yes.
So polar bears and crocodiles are just the worst.
Oh, they are.
And yet, because they look cute coming out of the side of a snowy slope in David Attenborough documentaries, people think, oh, aren't they sweet? But they're not. They're horrible.
Well, let me tell you, James, I was sent to Manitoba once when I was a correspondent in New York for the Daily Express, because a town up there...
They were hoping you might have not come back, I think.
They probably were. A town up there was actually being invaded by polar bears. People had to stay indoors. The hotel I was in wouldn't let you go out unless you went out with a guard with a gun. But one of them told me there, a polar bear expert, he said, you've got to realise, Mike, when a polar bear sees you and rips your right arm off, right, that to a polar bear is the equivalent of you eating a spare rib in a Chinese restaurant.
So did you actually see these bears?
Yeah, because they hide.
You actually saw some, did you?
I saw a bear.
Are you sure?
It was hiding down the back of an alleyway. Yeah, I certainly did.
Hiding down an alleyway?
Yeah, hiding down an alleyway. And do you know what they do, James, by the way? Nobody believes this. When a polar bear is going to attack you, as it's coming across the snow, it scoops up a load of snow and puts it on its black nose so that it can not be seen approaching you, because the only thing that's not white on a polar bear is its black nose. Did you know that?
Believe that or not.
No, it's true.
I think you'd notice, despite the cunning camouflage. I'm jealous of you, because I went to Svalbard, in Norway, in the Arctic Circle, a few years ago, and I went with the team that filmed that David Attenborough, all those sequences with the polar bears, and we were each given a skidoo, and we went 300 miles. It was great fun, looking for polar bears, and I didn't see one.
Right.
I told people they'd all been melted because of man's selfishness and greed and refusal to amend his lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I mean, this problem that now exists because there are so many of them, I mean, is it going to, just to be serious for a moment, is it likely to impinge upon the sort of human settlements where these polar bears are? And are they going to start, sort of massacring people?
This is the thing. The reason that the polar bear population has increased mainly is because there has been a global ban on hunting in pretty much in every polar bear region, I think, barring one. I think there's an area of Nunavut where traditional hunters are allowed to hunt them with, bows and arrows or something, or, they're putting out a maximum cull each year. But I think they are a pest when there are too many of them. And obviously, if there's not enough food to maintain a growing population, then what happens is they end up straying into human settlements and start becoming a threat to humans. And this is where you have a thing that environmentalists are reluctant to confront. Which is more valuable, the life of a species which is burgeoning? I mean, this year hit the record high, 30,000, or a human life? And I'd argue, human life every time comes before that of a polar bear.
That's right.
So I think it's going to be a wake-up call.
You're absolutely right. And the other thing is, James, is that the polar bears, before they start eating humans, will eat the whole world's population of seals and seal cubs. Now, nobody will want to see that.
Why do you care about that?
Well, I care about it because seals are good. Polar bears bad.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I do, and also we need seals so that hunters can club them to death on Greenpeace videos.
Well, that's the other.
Otherwise,
that's the other. What else would they make videos of? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No, but I like to see seals bobbing around in the water off Cornwall. You know, I often go on a
they're not
boat.
swimming all the way there from the Arctic.
Yeah, but if you wipe out a whole, species, then obviously their forefathers and their relatives won't be around to rescue them in Cornwall. You know what I mean? So I think it's very important that we. Sorry.
You raise a serious issue there. The polar bear is the top predator, isn't it? There is nothing that preys on polar bears other than humans hunting them for whatever. Well, for their fur, I suppose, mainly. So like all top predators, they do need maintaining, and if they're not going to be shot, then what will happen is they'll just starve to death and die in misery. And
the other thing is they'll start eating deer and they will, and reindeer. They'll start eating all the reindeer inside the Arctic Circle, all this kind of stuff. Because you quite rightly say, if their food source is stretched because there's so many of them, they'll start eating other things.
Yeah. Well, and then what they'll do is they'll start going on the ice floes and they'll drift across down towards, Shetland, Orkney, eventually landing in Scotland and start taking, eating.
That's not a joke. That's not a joke. That could well happen. Of course it could.
I think you guys are taking this all very far too seriously. James, thank you very much indeed. James Dellingpole there, author and journalist, of course, talking about how he predicted this polar bear glut some years ago. Well, you didn't actually, no. All you do is tell us this story about how you once saw a polar bear down the back of an alley loitering with intent, supposedly because he wanted to mug you for the money that you had with you.
No,
he's got a book out.
My arm off.
He's got a book out, James, called How to Be Right. Perry says Porky should bring out a book called I Wish I Was Right. That's very good.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
The Two Mics on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
I'm going slightly mad. I'm going slightly mad. It finally happened. Finally happened. Finally happened. I'm slightly mad.
You've upset quite a lot of people today with this idea of killing beautiful creatures like polar bears. Here's a message from somebody who's called CJ.
Yes.
Humans are the most vicious on the planet. We hunt everything deliberately. Your guest sounds like a posh, nosh, stuck-up person. I'm not going to use the word that he uses. It's not our place to cull. It's nature. Nature should run its course. How dare we dictate what nature does? The line of conversation is vile, promoting the killing of animals just because there's too many of them. It's nature. I feel disgusted, to be honest. I was going to ring in and wish Mike Graham a happy birthday because he's a top-notch presenter, but this polar bear thing has really killed the whole idea.
Well, I don't.
So now you're putting people off ringing in.
No, I'm not.
Because you're upsetting so many people.
All I'm doing is laying out the facts. And the point is, as James explained to us, the polar bear is one of only two natural predators which hunt humans on Earth. So we've got to get rid of them.
Really?
The other one being the saltwater crocodile.
Well, you can't get rid of all of them, though.
Well, listen, somebody called Ali Craig has sent in a very humorous picture of a polar bear actually surfing. OK, lads, turns out it's Porky organising the cull. Surf is up. And he shows the polar bear trying to get away from me on the crest of a wave.
I see.
Well,
Well, that's a bit fantastic.
If you don't understand the scientific need to cull polar bears, then you are, I'm afraid, behind the game.
Well, I mean, my problem is that I'm not sure why you'd have to cull them just because there's too many of them. I mean, they're not exactly taking away in any way, shape or form the resources from the human being. They're not stopping humans from living their lives. Why would you have to kill them?
The point is that they are going to unsettle the ecological balance of the world.
I don't think that's true.
And at that stage, you get rid.
I don't think you have any evidence to prove that. Alan says this, Porky's on his own next week because nobody else will work with him.
Yeah.
MG, you're a martyr.
Yeah, well,
and happy birthday.
You just think about it when you're sunning yourself, on a
I won't be thinking about you when I'm sunning myself.
Well, I won't be thinking about you either.
Yeah, you will. You'll be sitting here going, why on earth has he left me on my own to deal with all these people that I can't talk to?
No, I'll be thinking to myself, why on earth do I ever have to go into a studio with him when it can be as good as this?
Oh, really?
Right, Charlie, can't get away from your birthday today. Shocking behaviour by Porky, serving up MG a bottle of cold tea on his birthday. He's a tight-fisted skinflint. I am not. It was symbolic. A mate of mine who runs a pub said, look, just take this. There's nothing in it, but, we'll make sure we deliver one.
I seem to remember, was it last year or was it last Christmas you gave me a present, right, which you purported was a pink shirt from the shop called Pink, right?
Yes.
But what you'd actually done was you'd bought yourself a shirt from Pink.
Yes.
You'd kept the bag and you put Pierre Cardin shirt in from Sports Direct
Well,
inside the pink
really.
wrapping. You did. It's on video, and it's actually on the Two Mics TV channel,
but that's again,
which is on YouTube.
Again, I didn't have time to get your shirt that morning, so it was just
Yeah,
symbolic.
but you pretended that it was a pink shirt.
It was just a symbolic
when in fact
gesture.
it was like one of those horrible shirts you're wearing today.
No. It was just a symbolic gesture. Don't worry about it, you know. I mean, you know, the thing is you take everything so seriously and so straightforward. You've got to have interpretation in life. That's all I can tell you.
Well, my interpretation of being given a bottle of water or stale tea, actually, is not a good interpretation, I have to say.
Is that right?
Jim says this, polar bears are classic examples of charismatic megafauna.
Yep.
Population control is always a contentious issue.
Yep.
Now, Zacchaeus is accusing us of having matching shirts on, which he says is #weird.
Nope.
We don't have matching shirts on, Zacchaeus. I think you may have to go to Specsavers, mate.
Indeed.
Just because they're both sort of darker in colour
That's right.
does not mean that they are exactly the same. Have a closer look at the video that we've just put out on Talk Radio on the Twitter feed, and you will see that there is actually quite a big difference between the shirts that we're wearing.
Difference. Now then, you fancy yourself as a bit of a chef, bit of a cook?
You've already said that.
Yeah, but I want to get on now to this this phenomenon that's sweeping the world about these 90-second mini meals.
Oh, yeah.
Right, now what is all that about?
Well, I mean, you're telling me this morning, basically, that there's a woman who's made £1 million.
That's right.
Because she does on YouTube what a lot of people now do, which is basically to show you how to cook something.
Yeah.
But it's shot in video and it's all kind of sped up. So rather than just what I do, which is to take pictures of what I do and put it on a website and people follow the recipe, what they do is they do what's called bite-sized chunks of a recipe. And it shows them making the recipe. It shows them actually cutting up the stuff that goes in the dish, shows them presenting the dish at the end.
And they speed it all up, do they?
And they speed it all up,
so it's like a Benny Hill type thing, is it?
Well, you might say that, but it's not. Well, you wouldn't put that kind of music on it, no.
You wouldn't know.
But I mean, it's basically a social media phenomenon. So people go on Facebook, Instagram, on Snapchat, 90-second clips, right? And all it shows is they didn't show you the person themselves. It shows you the hands. It shows you cutting.
Really?
It shows you cooking.
Apparently, you can make a fortune
and
out
it's
of
very apparently, videos created by the Food Network Taste Made have got an average of 2 billion views in a month.
I know, it's not bad, is
That's
it?
incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's a young lady called Kate Murdoch. She's 24. She's from Stockbroker Belt, Surrey.
Yes.
That does not surprise me. She is, in fact, Taste Made UK's most popular host, right?
Yes.
She films Britain's first Tiny Kitchen series. It's a spin-off of the hands-only video, but she actually does it with the backdrop to it being a doll's kitchen.
Yeah.
See what I mean? To miniature everything down.
Oh, okay.
I find that really incredible.
Tiny vegetable curry and rice has 399 million views on Facebook.
What's that?
390
Tiny vegetable curry and rice.
Tiny vegetable curry and
399
rice.
million views.
Yeah, 399 million. Isn't that amazing?
And it says more than 240,000 people have shared the clip of vegetables being
Well,
diced.
maybe I should get into this. Maybe I should start.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if you were any use to me, you could film this, you could edit it, and you could put it out there.
Yeah,
and you could get me involved with these people called Taste Made.
Yeah, vegetables being diced with a toothpick-sized knife and then simmered in a doll's house pan atop a candle power stove. I don't understand all that. I mean, that doesn't really, float my boat. But I suppose if that number of people are watching it, and it says this company.
I think we should get in touch with this Taste Made company. Because she was spotted by them.
She was indeed.
Yeah.
It says this company has studios in 8 cities, including Sao Paulo, Tokyo, London. Videos with most hits tend to feature unhealthy, dirty food, brightly covered vegetable dishes or nostalgic comfort dishes and cakes. Now, did you say you made shepherd's pie last night?
I did, yeah.
Could you have done that in one of these?
Well, I probably could, yeah. I mean, what basically the guy who runs the Taste Made UK programming department says, a guy called Mo Salah, he says, we took the Saturday Kitchen format and made it way more camp, really hammed it up. Have you seen, do you watch Saturday Kitchen?
No.
It's on Saturday morning.
Well, I should imagine. Is that, what's his name? The guy who used to do Soccer AM?
Eh?
You know, Tim Lovejoy, is it?
Tim Lovejoy, no.
Isn't that Saturday? Doesn't he do something on a weekend?
Eh?
I think he does something on a
Well, he
cooking
might do.
programme
He
on a
doesn't do
weekend.
Saturday Kitchen.
Oh,
Saturday
okay.
Kitchen is a cooking show.
And who does?
Why
Yeah, well,
would
his
Tim
is a
Lovejoy
cooking
be
show.
doing it?
He does a cooking
He
show.
does a cooking show.
Yeah,
Are you sure?
apparently, yeah.
Apparently.
It's called
Have
Sunday
you,
Brunch.
Have you ever seen it?
No, because I don't watch cooking shows.
Don't you?
But he does something
Well,
called...
Saturday Kitchen is a very famous,
Very
staple,
famous, is it? Yeah.
staple of Saturday morning.
And who hosts it?
Well, actually, it's now hosted by different people because it used to be hosted by that guy who left the BBC because he said he didn't like the idea of the fact that the cooking utensils weren't expensive enough, that the lighting wasn't good enough, and he's now gone off and done it. He now operates with Morrison's or Aldi or something like that.
Oh, do it really? Okay.
But nevertheless, right, we should go. We should go and see these people at Taste Made, I think, because it takes 3 hours to make a 90-second video. Takes 3 hours.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I'm into wasting 3 hours for a 90-second video.
Well, you would if you thought you were going to make £1 million, though.
Yeah, I would, definitely.
Wouldn't you?
I'd do anything for...
But despite the fact that this is 399 million views and that kind of thing is going on, music videos, fashion videos, DIY videos and viral videos and porn are still the biggest things that people watch on the internet.
Disgraceful.
Not food.
No, it's absolutely disgraceful.
We've got to stop now.
Sorry?
Have you seen the time?
Yeah, well, don't worry about the time.
I'm not worried about the time.
There's plenty of time.
It's
There's
just that
loads
we
of
are
things I've got to
guided
talk
by
to you
time.
about.
Well, you've got loads of time to talk to me about some
I
of the
just
other
wanted to
things.
get that out the way
All right.
because I knew you'd be banging on about it, endlessly, because you really do fancy yourself as a bit of an old,
well, you see, if you knew anything...
Gordon Ramsay.
Well, I don't. I like to eat, and so therefore I like to eat good food. And if you had any sort of taste buds at all, I would cook for you. But I just know it'd be wasted. But
think
like
not.
pearls before swine.
I
in
think
your
not.
case, this is Talk Sport. No, it's not. It's Talk Radio.
It says.
The 21st century dream team of dialogue, debate and discourse. The Two Mics on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Talk Radio, we are the Two Mics. Coming up a little bit later on, it's Porkyvision, of course. It's a TV review. It's one of the best TV reviews you'll have ever heard.
Of course.
So if you haven't heard it before, make sure you listen in.
Yeah.
Also coming up in the next hour, we've got John Coleshaw joining us, who's an amazing impressionist. He's going to do Donald Trump. He's just Piers Morgan, apparently, as well. We might get him to do Jeremy Corbyn, a bit of Boris Johnson. Could be quite interesting. In fact, somebody's already suggested you might want to go up against him with your impression of Ian Holloway.
Well,
who are you?
Who are you?
We know where we're going.
We know where we're going.
We know what we're doing.
And we want that fancy Dan playing for us, in the back four.
And maybe you could also do your Brendan Rodgers for him as well.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And also, we got your Holland, obviously, where Steve McClowan is going to be big again in football, okay? And Louis Van Gaal, he come back.
Right.
Louis
now, how
Van
about this
Gaal?
question from Kate, who has texted in, actually. You can text in to 87222. You have to text the word talk, of course, first. That's 25 pence plus your normal sending charges. She says, does anyone know why polar bears have black noses?
Well, because dogs have black noses.
Well, not all dogs.
I'll tell you why.
Dogs and bears are not the same species.
No, but what it is the cartilage that the nose is made up of in both a dog and a bear is to house the tens of thousands of receptors they have in their nose, which means that a polar bear can smell a human being from 100 miles away.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What's the point of that, though?
Well,
by the
because
time he gets there, the human being's already got a plane and flown somewhere else.
No, you cannot.
How long does it take a polar bear to go 100 miles?
They can lope along at 20 or 30 miles an hour.
Right.
So about 3 hours.
About 3 hours.
Yeah. And
well, you've plenty of time for you to get away then.
No, because you can't move as fast as a polar bear. Believe me, if you're being chased by a polar bear and the polar bear starts 100 miles behind you, you've had it.
If you're being chased by a polar bear from 100 miles away, I think you'd be all right.
No, I don't think you would, because the polar bear knows... You know what? It's almost
like... you can get in a car.
No.
Or a plane.
Not in the Arctic Circle, you can't.
Well, of course you can. Well, you get a boat.
Listen, supposing you're an explorer and you're on, skis.
Okay.
You ain't got much chance.
Well, actually, you can move pretty fast on skis.
Yes, you can.
Have you ever skied in your life?
Yes.
When?
In Interlaken.
When?
When I was...
I'm looking for a year.
14 and 15.
14 and 15, so about 1958
No, you idiot. More like 74.
They have wooden skis in those days?
No, they didn't have wooden skis. And it was in Interlaken. It was a school skiing trip.
Were you any good at it?
Yeah, I was pretty good,
You only went once?
I got snow blindness, actually.
Did you?
Because I forgot to wear my goggles.
Oh, yeah.
And,
did you actually have any goggles?
Yeah, I had goggles, but they flew off somewhere, and, I crashed or whatever you'd call it.
You can't just go skiing once and be any good at it, though.
Yeah, I was very good. Now, listen, I want to tell you something. That whiskey I bought you could be
That's not whiskey, by the way.
Well, it will be whiskey, won't
What do you mean it will be whiskey?
Well, because I'll change it for a real one.
What do you mean you're going to change it?
I mean, look, sometimes you have to improvise. That's all I did today was improvise. And now, you give me grief.
Well, you found an empty bottle lying around somewhere. You put it inside another sort of empty container.
And
you filled it with brown liquid.
No.
That's not the same.
I'm telling you, it's there. Now then, can I tell you this?
Yeah.
That all our lives we've been told that bladderation's a bad thing. Bladeration, to interpret to our audience, is imbibing alcohol.
Well, in moderation, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, well, this is the point. I've found a new research document which says alcohol can help people to think more creatively by freeing up the brain to think in a different way. If you're looking for a flash of inspiration, you might find it in the bottom of a glass of wine. It does not require industrial strength quantities, as enjoyed by legendary drinkers like Dylan Thomas or actor Oliver Reed.
Funny you should mention Dylan Thomas, because just the other day, my sister was in New York in the White Horse Tavern, which is where Dylan Thomas used to drink, one of the many places where he used to drink.
That's right.
There's pictures of him up on the wall, along with pictures of the Two Mics show, which is coming up in September. Not a million miles away from there.
That's brilliant. I can't wait to get on the old big white BA Bird and get over there. Now, what I was going to say to you was...
Yes.
By the way, you know, Dylan Thomas died on the day when he drank 39 large whiskies.
Really?
Well, that's pretty good going.
Just as well you didn't know him, because you wouldn't have been able to get anything out of your whiskey bottle.
Yeah. But anyway, listen, this comes from an Australian study. A guy called Matthias Benedek from the University of Graz. Oh, no, it's not Australia, it's Austrian. An Austrian study.
Austrian?
University of Graz in Austria, that's
you
right.
mean Graz?
Graz.
Not grass.
I mean Graz.
No, Graz is in southern France. You know what Graz is famous for in southern France?
No.
Apart from being the home of Andrew Neil's French villa, it is also the home of perfume.
Oh, is that right?
That's where all perfume was originally made.
OK. Has Andrew Neil, by the way, retired from broadcasting?
Not that I'm aware of.
I read something the weekend that he has.
Why?
But I'm sorry, Mr. Neil, if you are listening.
Sure, he's not retired.
I'm not pre-retiring you.
Doesn't he do the daily politics every day?
Yeah, he does, yeah. And he does a TV show at the weekends.
Yeah, so why are you putting him into early retirement?
Because I read in one of the Sunday newspapers somebody saying, you know, it's time to pay tribute to Andrew Neil. He's been a great broadcaster.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know whether he was retiring or not.
Oh, right.
Anyway, look, the lead author...
Get him on.
Who is Dr. Matthias Benedek. He says, alcohol is so linked with creativity and great writers like Ernest Hemingway. Previous research has found almost half of the great writers, so, I mean, this is good news for you and I, having, started in writing ourselves, right? Half of the great writers had a history of drinking. We found that a small drink can indeed help with certain aspects of creativity, although it makes hard, focused work more difficult. So it might well work for someone who is sitting down to do creative writing or brainstorming ideas in a boardroom.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem they don't get over there is that one small drink often leads to another small drink.
Well, that's true, but you don't often
leads to a large drink.
I mean, you don't hear
then a copious amount of drinks.
Well, that's true, but I mean, some people have a proclivity to become addicted to drinking, and some people don't.
Yes.
I mean, you don't really hear very often any stories about sort of colourful characters from the literary world who didn't drink.
No, you don't.
Do you?
I agree.
I mean, almost everyone that you read about, or everyone that has a story,
that's right,
is a sort of relatively sort of imbibing person.
Well, it's not just writers and musicians and all that. We've got an author coming in this week, haven't we, who's written that great book about that fantastic painter.
Eh?
I've forgotten his name.
What, Gainsborough?
Gainsborough.
Yeah.
Gainsborough was such a drunk. He used to go on 1 week long benders.
Yes.
And then
a lot of artists are like that.
His hand was so shaky for a week afterwards he couldn't paint.
People say that it's partly due to the kind of personality that you need to have to be artistic.
Yes, well, I suppose that could be right.
So you tend to then lean towards enjoyment of life.
It could be right. Have you seen poor old Sinead O'Connor is cracking up? Have you seen that?
Sinead O'Connor, yeah, I know. It's terribly sad, that.
It is very sad because I thought that song that she wrote, which Prince wrote as she sung, which Prince
Nothing
wrote
compares to you.
I saw her sing that at Madison Square Garden.
Did you?
Right, yeah.
I didn't realise you'd seen Sinead O'Connor live.
I saw her live, yeah, with Chris Christopherson, right, on the stage.
It's a strange duo.
It was a bit, yeah, but he'd just been...
You sure it was him?
Yeah, definitely.
Chris Christopherson?
Yeah, honest to God.
We're going to talk about Glenn Campbell, by the way.
Yeah, we should talk about Glenn Campbell in a minute. But Chris Christopherson, right, what happened was she'd just been on that American show where she'd called the Pope the world's biggest terrorist.
Oh, yeah.
Because of his views on abortion and contraception.
Yes.
So on this stage, bearing in mind the mixed bag that New York is, she starts singing, Nothing Compares.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, a section of the crowd start booing her.
Really?
Yeah, and saying,
sort of members of the Christian right or something.
Exactly, Christian rights, something like that. So she very conveniently pulls a picture of the Pope out of her pocket and says, "Oh, you don't believe me then?" and rips up the picture of the Pope on stage and throws it away.
Right.
Of course, the whole of the rest of the audience saying, "Oh, this is so shocking" and all that.
Bizarre, isn't it?
And then she shouts out some, terribly, foul-mouthed protest against these people. And then burst into tears, and Chris Christopherson picked her up and carried her off stage. That was the extent of her performance.
Are you sure it was Chris Christopherson?
I'm certain, because he had just starred in the one and only film he made. Do you remember? Was he a truck driver or something?
Don't know.
He was in something, yeah.
Was that the breaker type scenario?
Yeah, it was something. But anyway...
Convoy. Was it Convoy?
No, well, do you know what? It might have been. It might have been. But anyway, talking about the Rhinestone
By the way, Jack
Cowboy.
has sent in a great picture of why all dogs have black noses, a dog with a pink nose.
Oh, a dog with a pink nose. Yeah, well, that's an albino dog. So it can't help having a pink nose. No, talking about the Rhinestone Cowboy, right. I mean, I have to say that, I have great respect for the man who did very well in his chosen field.
Yeah.
But I couldn't stand his records.
Glenn Campbell.
Oh,
I put out a tweet last night saying, "Tell me this is not one of the greatest pop songs ever written," because it's a great song.
Which one?
Rhinestone Cowboy. It's a great song. We'll hear it later on. It's a great song.
And also, what was the other?
Wichita Lineman.
Yeah,
was the other
yeah.
one.
But if you listen to the lyrics of Wichita Lineman.
Well, it doesn't matter.
I am the linesman from
I am the
county.
not linesman, lineman.
The lineman,
Lineman from the county.
I am the lineman
what's wrong with that?
from the county. Because the lyrics are all repetitive. At the end, it says, and the lineman's on the line. I mean, you couldn't think of any other words except lineman and line.
The song is about a
And
lineman.
county. Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Why are you doing him down anyway? He's dead.
Well,
have a bit of respect for people who've just passed away.
he lived to a fine old age. How old
Shocking.
was he, 89 or something?
He was 81, I believe.
81, that's right. Yeah.
Alex says this. I was telling you the story of my my carabinieri scenario with the
Yes,
police in
that's right,
Sicily
yeah.
chasing me for some ridiculous fine that I
Yeah.
should not be paying.
Yeah.
Alex says that he's had some problems with Italian car companies at it again. He said, I just dropped off a hire car.
Yes.
They spotted, in his words, a less than 1 centimetre scratch on the windscreen. They tried to keep my deposit and then tried to charge me €100 to replace the windscreen.
Right.
After much shouting, it was all sorted out and they didn't charge me anything.
Isn't that terrible?
Isn't that awful?
Shocking.
Because people will
Shocking.
be going over to Italy as we speak because
Yes.
it's summer holidays,
Yes.
renting cars from
That's
these
right.
companies. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable what they're trying to get away with.
I totally agree. Stephen sent in a message here. He says, I'm surprised the polar bear didn't run away when it saw Porky in that alleyway. I would have done.
Well, why is there no picture of you and this polar bear together?
Oh, well, it was a long time ago.
So they didn't know? That's so long ago they didn't have photographs.
Well, you can't take a photograph late at night when you're in your life's in danger from a marauding polar bear.
You can't just make up that you were out at night and you thought you saw a polar bear.
No, I did.
Somebody here says their fur is actually transparent and holds no colour. It only appears white because it reflects visible light.
That's right.
Surely if that was the case, then polar bear at night would be black.
No, because it's not reflecting any light. There is no light at night.
So
that's the
then what
problem.
colour would it be if it's not reflecting light?
It would be like a silver colour because that's
Silver.
translucent.
Silver?
Yeah, translucent, yeah.
So your polar bear that you saw at night, that night in wherever it was, Manitoba,
Yeah.
was translucent, was it?
Well, I don't know, because it was hiding behind a bin, waiting for me. What's your problem?
Because it's rubbish.
No, it's not.
You just
It's
make
not.
it up as you
It's
go
not.
along.
Listen, talk
Lee
about...
says, advise that plank Parry that a baby seal is a pup, not a sealet.
Yeah, well, okay, I know that. Talking about airports and things, because obviously you're going on holiday next week.
I
and
am.
We've been talking there about rip-offs on holiday.
Yeah.
I have a great deal of sympathy with a load of people who live in a road in Luton where these bums park their cars while they go on holiday for 2 weeks outside other people's homes.
Oh, yeah.
And the other people in the people's homes...
Why do they do that, though?
Well, so that to avoid parking charges. The road is 1.5 miles...
Do you know how much I'm having to pay to park the car at the airport for a week?
Frightening.
About 80 quid.
80 quid.
Yeah.
Well, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Well, you say that, but it's quite a lot of money.
if you go over 2 weeks, sometimes you charge £40 a day and all this kind of
Well,
stuff.
that's if you leave it in the short-term car park.
Well, that's right. But anyway, so this road is 1.5 miles away from Luton Airport, okay?
Yeah.
People have been using it, sporadically over the years. Now it's become just a dumping site for cars when people go on holiday. The people in that road have quite rightly protested and said it is very bad manners to park your car for 2 weeks outside my house.
Why don't they make it residential parking only?
Well, obviously that's got to be looked at, but at the moment it's not. Anybody can park there.
Yeah.
So what's happened now is, in no way in the world would I justify or support anybody causing criminal damage in somebody else's car.
No.
But they've now started kicking the cars in, smashing the windows, scrawling, rude insults on the
Well,
side.
Luton can be a bit of a dangerous place.
Luton can be a bit like that.
Well, I don't think I would leave my car in a street, in a residential street.
Neither would I.
I wouldn't be happy to do that.
Well, not only that, but I think it's impertinent. I think that you're taking up other people's space, particularly when you're parking so that you're leaving them 4 feet to get their own car
By the
in
way,
out to their driveway.
how is your that van, the one that was dumped in your street?
Taken a long time ago.
It's gone now, is it?
Taken a long time ago. As soon as I put pressure on the council, as soon as I exerted my influence, for want of a better word, you'll find that things happen.
Well, I'm very happy for you.
The local
Tom
MP,
says,
by the way, is very sympathetic.
What's his name?
I can't go into that.
Well, it's a public matter of public record.
No, I'm not going into
All
that.
right, then we'll maybe get him on the show. Tom says, Mr. Neil is quitting the Sunday Politics show.
Oh, is he?
Maybe he could stand in for MG next week. He'd soon sort Porky out.
Yeah, well,
Andrew Neil could sit in for me.
Hey?
He could sit in for me.
No, not at all. Mr. Neil is a highly intelligent man who edited the Sunday Times with
I used to
great
work
distinction.
for him when he was the editor.
Well, that's right, absolutely, over a great period of time. And he's far too highbrow intellectually to sit in the seat that you numbskull, low-faced oaf.
He'd never put up with your nonsense.
Put up. Well,
That's
could.
for sure.
He could.
Anyway, look, coming up in the next hour, John Colshaw's going to be here. We've got some wine tasting going on later on in the show as well. We are the Two Mics. This is Talk Radio.
across the UK, online and on DAB.
The Two Mics on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Rhinestone cowboy, riding out on a horse in a star-spangled rodeo, like a rhinestone cowboy, getting cards and letters from people I don't even know.
I think that's a fantastic song.
Well,
You've got no soul is your problem.
No, it's
Absolutely
not that I've got
soul.
no soul. It's that I'm just not into country music. You know, I can't stand
No,
all
I don't
those.
see that as a country song.
All those guys, yeah, but that brings to me the image of a load of people line dancing in a barn somewhere in sort of Mississippi, you know what I mean? And wearing cowboy hats in Texas and all that kind of stuff. Not for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the only
Well, never
part.
mind.
That's the only part of Dallas I never liked.
Yeah.
When they had JR's annual sort of rodeo party.
The line dancing.
Yeah, and all the line dancing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, never mind. Thanks very much indeed for
Yeah, I thought
once
I'd let you
again
know.
dishonouring the dead. John Coleshaw is here, very famous impressionist. John.
Indeed.
What about Wichita Lineman? That's
Well,
my favourite.
Yes, you
Glenn
see,
Campbell
people
song.
say that, but to me, it's all right. But it doesn't have that kind of, I like music to kind of get me moving slightly. You
Yeah.
know, whereas Wichita Line's a little slow for my.
I mean, what is a
my
rhinestone
taste.
cowboy anyway?
Well, it's in the rodeos, which is what he's singing about.
Yeah.
It's a guy who's on top of a horse, and they wear sometimes some very lavish jackets.
Yeah,
And a
see-
rhinestone cowboy wears rhinestones literally sewn into his waistcoat.
Yeah, okay, not for me anyway.
It's a pretty
But anyway,
straightforward image, actually. Right? What is a rhinestone
I don't
cowboy?
suppose you do an impersonation of a rhinestone cowboy, do you? It's not probably within your repertoire, seeing as you can't really define one.
Well, the reformer mentioned Jerry Ewing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love
That's a pretty
Jerry.
good J.R. Ewing. You know, he is Porky's hero.
Absolutely.
Whenever anybody else says to Porky, who is the man you would most like to be like, despite the fact he's a fictional character, he wants to be J.R. Ewing.
Yeah, and you mentioned about him cold tea, J.R. Ewing. J.R. Ewing, in fact, drunk so much whiskey, he needed a new liver, didn't he?
Yes, that's true. In
You
real
mean
life,
Larry Hagman,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Well, Sue Ellen, you dirty little tramp.
That is great. I must
great,
say, John, I mean, we've been looking through some of the stuff that you've worked on. We've obviously seen you in all sorts of things in the past. I mean, Donald Trump is surely wonderful news for any impressionist because everybody's kind of doing him, but not everybody can do him that well.
Everybody, he's always the first person. You have the hands like this, the
The
little
little
having
hands?
the little hands. They're not little hands. They're normal hands. They're very
That is
normal
brilliant.
hands.
That
They're
is
not
brilliant.
like an action man with gripping hands.
But has he been? I mean, does he think he's now in the middle of some kind of Rambo movie? Where
He
he's
must
threatening
do.
sort of fire and brimstone,
Fire and brimstone.
against the North Koreans.
I
yeah.
am sure. This seems to be the sensibility in the simplistic way which he views these things.
He's coming out with all of these. There's going to be fire. There's going to be hell. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen.
And I heard George Bush described a few weeks ago as somebody. I'll take on his voice to do it. They said with me that it was a case of difficult but doable. How'd you like me now?
That's right. Who you addressing,
Well,
boy?
he looks brilliant
When
now,
somebody's
doesn't he?
called him sir instead of Mr. President. Do you remember? Who you talking to, boy?
But I mean, Mike and I both worked in New York in the 80s, right, where Donald Trump was kind of building his property empire.
And going
even
bankrupt
then,
every 3
And
weeks,
even then,
yeah.
he was just known as a complete sort of BS artist. I mean,
He
everything
was,
that
yeah.
he said was immediately reversed the next week.
So vengeful. So vengeful.
Oh, yeah.
I heard a story that Turnberry, that he owns that golf course.
It's now called Trump Turnberry, much to my chagrin.
Oh, dear.
It's a beautiful golf course and hotel.
I heard a story that he went there and he asked for a picture to be put up in his office there. And he said, the way I want this picture to be put up, it's got to be with 2 screws in the wall, 8 centimeters apart. That's how it's got to be. Okay, that's how I want it.
And so the worker went in there, and it was only a small picture. He said, "It doesn't need 2 screws. He'll just put the one in there, you know." And apparently, so it is alleged,
The Donald checked the job
Right.
later, and he found that there was only 1 screw which had been applied not in the way that he asked for. And he said, that guy who did this, I want him fired.
Right.
Get him out of here.
Yeah.
I want him fired.
Right. Yes, that's those kinds of stories were going on back in when he was beginning to build his empire up,
Yes.
and the sort of terrible kind of slum properties that his father made fortunes from, and the way that all of those people were treated. There was lawsuits all the time coming at him, which he would settle
Absolutely.
and then deny settling. I mean,
Absolutely.
just incredible. Really.
He would. Now, of course, in the course of his work, he might meet our foreign Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson. How would that go? How would that go? A meeting of minds?
Well, Boris, it's great to meet you. You know, you remind me of my hero, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It's sort of, this is one of those moments where reality could outperform comedy.
Yeah, it could.
You know, it really, really could.
Well, you know, we've got this theory that because Mr. Trump is so unfocused on his job, he's focused on his image, and there is such a sort of malaise in this country because everybody's panicking about Brexit, politicians aren't getting around to doing very much, and so the world is actually doing okay. The economy seems to be doing all right in America, record number of jobs. The economy seems to be doing all right in this country. So when the politicians don't bother doing what they're paid to do, things work better.
In a sense, it keeps them out of the way.
Yes.
And
yes.
those who really run things out of sort of prime sight, if you
Yes.
like.
Yeah.
Well, you do wonder whether we are living through an age of the most incompetent politicians of all time, because they really, I mean, I know you could probably come up with quite a few names from the past, but they also seem to be rubbish now. They all just seem to be completely hopeless.
Sort of not quite, well, never mind, not quite, not qualified enough at all.
Well, Theresa May managed to take a massive lead over Jeremy Corbyn and practically
reduce it to nothing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Completely, you know, David Cameron, who was riding along quite nicely, thank you, suddenly decides to have a referendum, which has completely riven the country.
And he didn't need,
you know, which we didn't need to do. I mean, it's extraordinary, isn't it?
But they're great material for you. Now, John, what we've got to ask you is, what was it like working on Spitting Images? Because, I mean, that's a too broad a question, but I mean, just how focused do you have to get on the person that you're providing the voice for?
Yeah, Spitting Image, it was 1994 when I worked on Spitting Image. That was my first job in telly, really, back then.
And was that the sort of second time around for Spitting Image? Because did it not start before that?
It started in the Thatcher era, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It started 1984.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Thatcher and Neil
going.
Kinnock.
It was
remember?
Thatcher and Heseltine and all those, John Major and all those people.
Right.
Yes, I joined when John Major was the Prime Minister.
Right.
I think the first character I did was Michael Portillo, who, you know, my voice was a little bit higher then, so I had to really push it down to make it into that Portillo zone. If I took it too high, then Dale Winton would appear. He sounded marvellous as the Defence Secretary, you know. But the thing about the Spitting Image puppets, they were so...
latex.
Yes, the church gargoyle caricatures.
That's right, yeah.
And so you needed to have big character voices to go with them. If you did a more of an accurate, naturalistic impression, it would get lost against the puppet.
Yes.
That's why Harry Enfield, who did Douglas Hurd at the time, the puppet with the great ice cream hair,
yes.
Sort of Harry did it like that to make it work with the puppets.
Which it worked very well.
Yeah.
I mean, it was brilliant.
Well,
Spitting
Mrs.
Image.
Thatcher was always shouting, wasn't she, as a Spitting Image puppet? Yeah. Always, you know. You know, I'm the only man in the cabinet, and all that kind of stuff.
Brilliantly done by Steve Nallen, who that's the received Margaret Thatcher. And, you know, the two Ronnies has, you know, Four Candles. You know, Only Fools and Horses has Del Boy falling through the bar.
Yeah.
Spitting Image has... what about the vegetables? They'll have the same.
That's right.
Yeah,
it's true.
That's right.
I mean, I suppose if they did it today, you could make something out of enough of the characters who are around. But I mean, you do Jeremy Corbyn, I presume, do you?
Yes, no, he is very sort of, he's quite a sleepy sort of
Yes.
character.
He always strikes me as being slightly on the edge, so that, you know, if you just poke him a couple more times, he'll lose the plot altogether. You know?
Yes, I think...
He's only sort of 2 minutes away from a complete meltdown.
Yes, interviewers try to get that from him, don't they? You often do watch, if you watch him on Robert Peston, he will start by sitting very, very still and being very restrained, a look of great concentration.
Yes.
But as it goes on, that is tabloid journalism.
Yes, so just stop asking me the same question over and over again. And what about people like Peston? Because he's kind of developed this ridiculous form of style on camera, which is now being copied by other people who are all waving their arms around. There's a guy that does the business news, I think, on the BBC News Service at about 5 in the morning that I sometimes see. He's an Australian. And he's waving his arms around and being very flamboyant. And it's mad, isn't it?
Yes, he's sort of oddly out of kilter and everything, isn't it? But, you know, the reporters as well as the politicians, there's a sense that they've got to compete with each other in order to be noticed. Robert Peston has his sort of very interesting way of sounding like a tape recorder that's not working properly, slow, and I've always described him as having a voice that's got its own Doppler effect.
Right. It's true. It's very good.
It certainly has. How do you do with sporting characters? Because they're sometimes difficult to take off because they talk like in sound bites, don't they? You know, over the moon, sick as a parrot. But you do a very good Andy Murray. I've heard you do it before.
oh yeah, that's like, he's very sort of like, it's quite easy to place his mood. A resonance at the back of the throat. If you take it to a little bit of French, you find that Arsene Wenger is his next door voice neighbor, but I did not see it. But yeah, that sort of. I remember doing an Andy impression at a sporting event and noticing halfway through that Judy Murray was in the audience.
And how do they react to that? If you, I mean, do they like it or do they get weird about it?
Usually people like being impersonated because it means they have a discernible character that you can work with, and there's something to it.
Well, years ago, I remember Mike Yarwood was doing London Night at the Sunday night at the London Palladium, and he came on in the Gownick's Mac with the pipe to do Harold Wilson, and saw the Prime Minister sitting in the front row. So he walked off again. Did he? So he wasn't prepared. I mean, that can happen.
Right.
Yes, I think it's evolved now where the impersonators are a little bit, that cheeky sense where they'd quite enjoy that. I think. But Mike he kicked the door open for everybody.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
So smart, and he was the first big-time TV impressionist.
Yes.
And the wonderful instinct that he had to use the split cameras and turn in that way, and then the next time you turn over there, you're Harold Steptoe.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're now obviously on the radio. When you're out on tour, which is one of the reasons you're here, we'll talk about that in a second, you're with Bill Dale. I mean, do you have to have the look as well as the sound, or how does that work?
I suppose, so long as you've got the look in your facial expression and the gesticulations, that's sort of part of the...
So you don't come out with a sort of Donald Trump wig on or anything like that?
No. I've got the Donald Trump hat. The one that he
Trump
wears...
is brilliant, by the way. I think it's the best Trump I've ever heard.
He's just one of those characters, there's many different tones. There's this one where he's trying to be presidential and sound normal. And then there's the other one where this stops right here and stops right now.
And then the applause
the
happens.
fake news and all the rest
exactly.
of it, So the tour takes off starting in September, I think, right? September the 2nd?
September the 2nd in London at the Jackson's Lane Theatre.
And I see you're going
Where's that? Where's the Jackson's Lane?
I think it's over Highgate Way.
Because we're doing Shepherd's Bush, actually, in December. The former it used to be the BBC Theatre.
Yeah, we're still nailing down the details, but Shepherd's Empire.
Yeah, but the contract's on its way.
Yeah, well, you see, it's a guy who can't actually help himself. You say to somebody, don't say anything about that for a while because we're still sorting it out. Inevitably, just blurts it out.
What we're going to do as an apprentice task, we're going to make sure that all those details are done in a professional way. And there will be bums on seats cheering for you.
Absolutely right. Now, your tour, it says here, is sold out.
Is it really?
Oh,
yeah.
I say.
Oh, honey, sorry. No, following a sellout preview run earlier in the year. My apologies.
Not at all.
Yeah. That's great.
You haven't done the Fringe this year?
No.
We did it last year.
Yeah, did it last year.
Yeah, we did it last year as well. We had 3 nights there, didn't we? What was that theatre we were in?
Well, it was the Pleasance. I mean, it was one of the studios. I think it was Studio 1, I think.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
I can't remember. It was all a bit of a blur.
No, that's great.
I mean, it's just 3 days. I don't think we did much sleeping.
Now, on Thursday, the 26th of October, you're going to the Lowry in Salford.
Yes, indeed.
That was one of our most successful. We loved it. We filled it out.
This
it's
is
a
not
brilliant
about
theatre.
us, by the way.
No, but I'm saying...
John's in here to promote his own show.
I know, but
He's not in here to promote the shows that we've done.
Listen, the reason I like the Lowry is it's so great to get to for the people of Manchester. They go on the old metro, and they're out there. It's a brilliant location.
Yes.
It's brilliant.
It's a lovely theatre, actually.
It is, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, an old mate of ours, in fact, who used to be my old boss, Piers Morgan, I told you do him. He's a guy that would love somebody to do an impression of him because that's how he is.
Yes, there's been a couple of occasions when I've been on, Good Morning Britain, and the first thing he'll say is, "So did you do me yet? Did you do Lord Sugar? To make me sound cool and Shug's ridiculous?"
Yes.
And no matter what you say about him, whether it's very insulting, doesn't mind how Mickey takes
he doesn't care.
As long as you're talking about him.
Oh, he absolutely doesn't care. I mean, I've been at a couple of his parties, and all the people that he hates, supposedly, and that he banters with on Twitter, they're all at the party. Yeah, they're all mates. It's a great thing.
It's a very interesting sensibility to realise that is your currency.
Yes,
in a sense, and to play up to that.
Indeed.
Well, Piers is so posh from such a posh background, but claims to be, a bleeding heart socialist in all but supporting the President of the United States of America.
He's not really a socialist. He's a Blairite.
Well, he's not really. He was the editor of the Mirror through, all sorts of left-wing incursions into the Labour Party and all that. Yeah, well, not only just during the Blair. Blairs didn't like him anyway.
He
Sherry Blair
certainly
didn't
lays
like
claim,
him.
he lays claim to knowing he's always talking about being friends with the Donald.
That's right, yeah.
Always talking about that. I think he's a very talented guy. I think, he could be one of my communications officers in time to come. Morgan Pearson, remember that name. He's my buddy.
Yeah. That's the guy. He could well be actually the White House, the next White House Chief of Staff.
He could, yeah.
John, listen, brilliant. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you,
Saturday,
John.
the 2nd of September is where it all starts. Jackson's Lane Theatre in London. It goes to Newbury, Cumbria, Bath, Maidstone, Maidenhead, etc., on and on and on. Finishing in Harpenden.
That's right.
On Thursday, the 30th of November.
Sounds brilliant.
Best of luck with it.
Thank you so much, and thanks for giving me house room.
Yeah,
Honestly,
absolutely.
I've said that as Paul O'Grady. I don't know why.
You should have said it. Maybe it's John Lennon. Thank you very much, and I hope we pass the audition.
Very good. This is Talk Radio.
The Two Mics on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
But baby, you and I are not the same. You say you like the sun, I like the rain. So before we go, do it all again. You better catch your own.
This is Talk Radio. We are the Two Mics. Porkyvision coming up a little bit later on. And also, very exciting news is Helena, the wine expert, is coming in at around about 3 o'clock.
That's lovely.
With a load of great bottles of wine for us to taste. And I'm hoping she might have a bit of a birthday surprise for me.
Oh, yeah, really?
Well, you never know.
What, you mean in the form of a special drink?
Well, yeah, something other than, weak, brown, cold tea.
No, there was a prop, wasn't it? It's just a prop. I mean, you ruin it all, of course, by opening it and then tasting it. Because
Well, you expecting me to take it home and then think, I'll have a nice glass of whiskey now that I'm alone?
I'd have told you at the end of the show that it was just a prop, but as usual, you had to ruin it all, by being too blinking specific about it all, blundering in,
checking facts as I normally do.
Like you did.
How about this from Jar, who says, "Dab radio coverage is shocking. How am I supposed to listen to the Two Mics? Sort it out." Well, we don't know where you are, Jar, so if you tell us, we'll try and sort it out. We do get complaints from people from time to time saying that they can't get talk radio in the place where they live.
Well,
somebody in Keswick, I think it was, in Lake District, was complaining.
Really?
Because of course Myers of Keswick, our good friend over in New York,
that's right,
Pete Myers, was up there, and he said, "I can't get talk radio." And apparently in Keswick, you can only get about 2 radio stations.
Is that right?
Because if you think of the mountains in the Lake District, that sort of interferes with the radio signal.
I see, yes. Well, because we're so good, it's worth climbing up the steeple of Keswick Parish Church, sitting on the top and waving a metal coat hanger around till you pick us up.
Indeed.
Yeah.
The Critic says this. I'm not quite sure why. He says, "Keep this up and you guys will have your own television show."
Really?
The next Ant and Dec.
Next Ant and Dec.
Well, I hope not, really, because sadly one of the Ant and Dec pair is in rehab at the moment, isn't he?
I think he's come out.
Has he?
And I wish him the very best because he's been at the top of his game for a long time and those sort of pressures get you.
Yes, indeed.
So I'm sure he'll be back on top form.
John
very,
says,
very soon.
Surely John Colshaw could have done a Parry impression. Missed opportunity.
But not a missed opportunity at all.
I noticed that you, of course, in addition to forcing down his throat the shows that we had done in various different theatres around the country and around the world, you then started to do your own impressions. I mean, only you would sit in front of a professional impressionist.
I didn't do any impressions.
Yes, you did.
What did I do?
Well, you did several. You were doing, different American voices. You did an Irish voice. I mean,
Well, all I did
at John Lennon at the end.
Yeah, well, that's the famous rooftop concert, isn't it? When they did. I
heard we passed the audition was the London Palladium show, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. No, that was.
I thought it was.
No, could the cheap people in the front seats clap?
No, the people in the cheap seats
just clap, and the rest of you just rattle your jewellery. That's right.
Yeah. Only Porky, says Daniel, can get in 2 references to his own show and a reference to John Lennon while interviewing a guest.
Yeah,
shocking.
Well, listen, you've got to be informed about these things. Now, have I told you about the bee-devouring hornet that's going to overrun us for the next 20 years?
The bee-devouring hornet?
Yes.
Well, you mean a hornet that eats bees?
That's right.
I'll tell you what I heard the other day, actually,
and
I was told this by one of my kids, which rather put me off my lunch. Apparently there's such a thing as a tarantula wasp.
Ooh, golly.
And in places where there are tarantulas, do you know what it does?
No.
This tarantula wasp apparently lands on a tarantula, right? It then it sort of stings it into sort of paralysis, basically.
Yes.
But then inserts some eggs under the skin of the tarantula. And then the wasp eggs kind of germinate, as it were, and come to life.
Yeah.
While sort of being a parasite on the spider, so the spider stays alive.
Yeah.
But it's basically occupied by these kind of squatting wasps, and eventually the tarantula is devoured by the wasps. Isn't that awful?
Well, I didn't really want to know about that, to be honest.
Well, neither did I, but I feel as though I now have to pass it on to other people because now you'll have nightmares about it.
I will. Right, a handful of Asian hornets can devour a hive of 1,000 bees, English bees, in a couple of hours.
Oh, yeah?
Asian hornets could colonise Britain within a generation, devastate the nation's honeybees. That means we'll all starve, by the way. If all the honeybees are wiped out, we starve.
Right.
Man starves.
So you're happy to wipe out polar bears, but you don't want to wipe out honeybees?
No, honeybees pollinate food, and that's the only way the food chain works. So it says here...
I thought they pollinated flowers, to be honest.
They do pollinate flowers, which in turn pollinate food.
I see.
Okay? So it says here, hundreds of thousands of the aggressive insects are set to invade the UK within the next few years, according to experts. Government officials are already on high alert for the arrival of the Asian hornet, which preys on honeybees by waiting outside their hives.
Oh, yeah.
It's caused devastation already across France. It arrived from Asia in a shipment of pottery. That's a strange thing to arrive in 2004.
Shipments of pottery?
Yeah.
That is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it must have come from Taiwan or somewhere.
Yeah.
And spread to other countries such as Italy and Spain. Last year it took experts 10 days to track the UK's first Asian hornet nest, which was found 55 feet up a tree very close to Prince Charles Highgrove Estate.
Blimey.
The nest and a single hornet found in North Somerset were destroyed, but more are likely to follow.
Yeah, well, no, last year they had this big problem about something called the European hornet.
Yeah.
Because I remember there was a sort of APB that went out, and they said if you see any of these things, you must immediately... There's a hotline that you can ring.
Yeah, well, I think it might be the same one.
Yeah, to tell people what you've spotted, because they always want to know. And we had a real problem with them last year. In fact, I think we had a nest in the loft of the house.
Well, is that the one I recommend you should set fire to?
Yes,
to
it
get
was.
rid of them?
Well, no, that was one that was in the shed.
Oh, in the shed.
That was just an ordinary wasp nest. But these hornets were literally about an inch long. Actually 2 inches long.
The maximum length is 1.1 inches.
Yeah. Well, these ones were even bigger. And then I noticed, because I had a fire. You know how I like to have fires, outside and inside.
Yes.
And I had an outside fire one day, and the smoke started drifting up into a tree.
Yeah.
And suddenly all these really angry hornets came out of the tree because they had a nest in the tree.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were terrifying looking because they were so big.
Yeah. Well, if they sting you, it's very painful to humans. It's not deadly, but it's very, very painful. And can I tell you this as well? A guy called Dr. Giles Budge, who's from Newcastle University, who's made a study of all this.
Yes.
He says, our work highlights the importance of early detection. Now, he's now asking, and we are spreading the message here on Talk Radio to our millions of listeners, we need members of the public and beekeepers to familiarise themselves with the look of this hornet.
Right.
And keep an eye out for signs of foraging hornets, particularly near honeybee colonies, which is where they go, because they use honeybees as prey. And check the tallest trees for their large nests. Did you say you found one up a tree?
Well, it was in a tall tree.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
They go up tall trees.
Do you think you should put out a picture of one of these hornets?
Yeah, I think we should.
I think you should put one out on your Twitter feed, and then
Okay.
everyone can know what to look for.
I will.
That would be a public service.
Yeah, good idea.
And also, you could reclaim some of those people that you've lost by your horrible nastiness towards polar bears.
No.
By being much more kind of aware of the nature around you.
Not at all.
What do you think?
Not at all.
Right. Well, coming up in a minute, we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of other stuff as well.
Oh, yeah, we certainly
which
are.
I'm going to be telling you about
You
shortly.
get your best ideas when you're asleep.
What?
Yes.
You don't sleep, do you?
Well, I
haven't got any ideas.
No, I have sporadic 1.5 hours of sleep sometimes. I wake up 4 ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 ideas?
Yeah.
How about no ideas?
No, 4 ideas. You've got no ideas.
What do you call a deer with no eyes?
You never bring anything to the party. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because you're satiated with booze and evil thoughts of alley cat living.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
The Two Mics on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
This is Talk Radio. We are the Two Mics. We've got lots going on, including, of course, Porkyvision a little bit later on in the show. Plus, we are going to be having Helena Nicklin come in, who is, of course, a wine expert, a wine taster. She's bringing us a couple of surprises, I think, for my birthday.
Great.
So we're going to be doing a bit of wine tasting later on.
Sure.
Wrong Star says, Porky had to get one in at the end there. It was a pretty good Lennon, to be fair, he says. And Mick says, well done, Mr. Graham. You've made it this far without throttling the plank. Mm-hmm. It's a bit harsh, isn't it?
It is a bit harsh indeed.
And Thomas says, I've just seen Porky's Cinnamon Challenge. That should be a good enough birthday gift. Well, the Cinnamon Challenge is now sort of a legendary piece of video that has now sort of gone so far viral.
Yes.
Not quite as good as 399 million hits, but it's got about 30 million hits,
it's about 30 million downloads around the world.
Yeah.
And I forgot to get a patent on it. So,
you could have made a lot of money out of that. Imagine if you got £1 for every time somebody watched that.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful, wouldn't it?
Or even a penny, I suppose, would be all right, wouldn't it?
Yes, but I wanted to share it with the the wider world. You know,
are you sure it just wasn't because you didn't know how to do it?
No, not at all. It was a conscious decision. I could have made it my own, but I said no. I'm a man of the world. I have a flock out there which are worldwide. I'm going to share this with them, and it's like a badge of honour that if you've watched it and downloaded it, you remember the Porky flock.
Yeah.
So
And
30 million people are now a member of the Porky flock.
Well, also, whenever we do a live show, we always show that particular video. If we didn't show any other video, we'd always show that one. We showed it at the Edinburgh Festival last year.
That's right.
It's on the 2 DVDs that we've already made.
That's right.
And when we go to New York, I think the idea is that we'll put it on there as well.
I think we definitely will.
So we can reach an entirely new continent.
We definitely will.
Pete has sent you a picture of something called Twining's Popcorn Tea.
Yeah.
He says, I think the big man needs to take a moment to savour this.
Yeah.
He says other tea brands are available, but he says, I should say, it smells and tastes like the lawnmower motor was burnt out whilst mowing said lawn.
Ooh, golly.
Did you know you were having green tea yesterday?
Yes, that was quite nice, actually.
So have
quite
you
refreshing.
decided to take the leap and buy some green tea?
Might do. Might go into my local Tesco's and see what range they've got.
I'm sure they will have
because
plenty.
they've been stocking up on these herbal teas and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe you should try it for maybe a month or something.
Yeah, I might do
Drink green tea for a month and see if it makes any difference.
Funny enough, one of my quacks suggested a green tea.
One of your team of doctors.
Sorry, one of my team of doctors. That's right.
Is this true that you're now being kept alive by a team of doctors?
No, not at all. No, it's just that I had a slight reorganisation of the pill intake to reduce the numbers because certain pills are stronger now, and that's great. And they said, look, by the way, a week on the old green tea and brown porridge is a very good diet to keep your heart in good shape.
What is brown porridge, by the way? Is that sort of the same as brown bread rather than white bread? Is most porridge oats considered to be white porridge oats then?
Well, most that I eat, because I do eat it a lot. I like porridge with milk rather than water, and I've never seen brown porridge, but he says it's good stuff, so I'll try and get some. I tell you what I want to talk to you about, right? It's a very, very fine car been parked in Hatfields over the last couple of days.
Yes, there has.
It's a beautiful F-Type Jaguar.
That's right.
Jaguar.
Now, you were going to get one of those,
Well, I was going to get one of those until I test drove one and then found that there's literally no space, not an inch behind
It's one of those two-seater cars with nothing behind the two seats, right?
Nothing. The seats don't even bend forward, if you see what I mean. Yeah, I mean, they do, but I mean, there's no point because you can't put anything behind them. And it's got quite a big boot, but I mean, to all intents and purposes, on the odd occasion when you've got to, ask somebody to jump in the back, on the back seat, something like you can't do that.
Right.
So, for instance, I sometimes, go and pick people up at the station or something like that. You can't do it in that car. However, it's a magnificent looking car. And part of my envy about this car is it's got a parking permit to park outside TalkSport Towers.
Yes.
Because I think the gentleman who owns it, or the lady who owns it, I'm not sure, works in the office next door. Now,
Which is now just been reoccupied, hasn't it, by somebody who's just moved in?
Exactly, yeah. Now, the point is, that is a tremendous advantage in any situation to have a parking permit, right? And I have one down in on the coast.
Yes,
in
Gosport.
In Gosport, yeah. But if you haven't got a parking permit round here, you go to a machine, a big white machine in the middle of the road, the only way you can pay is via your mobile phone.
Yes.
I have never successfully managed to do that. And I've received parking fines because somewhere along the way, following the instructions on the side of the ticket machine, I've got something wrong.
Well, you know what the problem for me in those situations is quite often when you're I'm often in a rush. I don't always have an awful lot of time. Now, some people would say that's your own fault. You should leave the house earlier, blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, driving around, particularly in London, you're always late because the traffic is so bad, so slow, etc.
Yes.
When I get to one of those type of machines, I literally haven't got time.
No.
Because if you've never done... I mean, once you've logged in with your registration and your phone number and your credit card and all that, it's slightly quicker each time you do it.
Yeah.
But if you haven't done that, or if you've got a new car, or you've got a different car, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes sometimes
monumentally
to go all the way through the process of actually registering it.
Yeah.
And so you don't bother.
Yeah.
You either take a chance that you're going to get a ticket,
That's right.
or you go and park somewhere else.
Well, the point is now that the authorities on car parking are so, what I would call, almost fascist about it, you know what I mean, in their intent to get you. And the world has changed. 25 years ago, there's a bit of tolerance from, guys who were called, what were they called? Meter maids, the ladies were called. What were the blokes called?
What, parking wardens?
But,
Parkies, weren't they?
No, I'm not sure what they were called. But anyway.
Well, they was usually called something rude, actually.
Yeah, they were, yeah. But what I'm saying is, the old idea of, all right, I'll give you 5 minutes or something like that, doesn't count anymore because your car is being filmed on a camera. And if your car's there and they pick up the number plate and you haven't registered with the authorities, you get fined.
Well, I got the worst one I've ever had. In fact, I had not very far from here, the Shard.
Yes.
I was parking. I was taking the kids for breakfast, and it was a Sunday morning, believe it or not. And it was just around the back of St Bart's Hospital.
Yeah.
And I parked in a bay, which I thought was the right bay. I went and actually went through that rigmarole where I phoned up and I got the ticket. I put the ticket. Well, I didn't get a ticket because you don't actually give you a ticket. But I did it all the right way. When I came back, I still had a parking ticket on the windscreen. You know why? Because apparently the bay that I was in, without being very clear, was half disabled and half non-disabled.
What?
And I'd parked in the side of the bay, which was for apparently disabled people.
Well, it didn't have like big white lines and the word disabled written
what it
on the
had,
floor.
No, what it had was it had the white dotted line around the parking bay.
Yes.
Right? And there was a pole on which about 12 feet up was a sign that said this side of the pole disabled, the other side not.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen that.
Damn disgrace.
So I appealed it, and of course I lost. They said, no, here are all the pictures of you. You're in the wrong bay. I said, yeah, but I paid.
Yeah,
I actually bought a ticket.
It is a racket. It's
shocking.
It is a legalised money revenue raising racket by local authorities. It's an utter disgrace. I mean, in parts of Greater London, it costs £4 an hour. In Greater London, I'm not talking about in Central London, where it can cost you up to £12 an hour.
It costs you £4 for 15 minutes.
£4 for 15 minutes, £16 an hour.
Yeah.
It can cost you. But in some parts of Greater London, where you want to stop literally for 5 minutes, you've got to go into a shop or something, and you've got to get a ticket and all this kind of stuff. You've got to get a parking and put it on your dashboard. That takes 10 minutes.
Oh, I know.
And you only nip it in for a paper or something like that. It's absolutely outrageous.
It's horrendous.
And now the phone ones are, I'm sure they are designed to make sure they can draw money out of people's accounts unknowingly. The other one, which has really got my goat, is the one I've mentioned to you before on another station, and that is that they now ask you to print your registration number on the machine before they issue the ticket. Yeah. So the old thing about motorist camaraderie and all that, you come back, you've bought a ticket for 2 hours, your appointment's over after 55 minutes. Just as you get in your car, a guy's driving in, you knock on his window and say, "Oh, mate, there's an hour on that if you're only staying for 10 minutes."
Yes.
"Oh, thanks very much." In future, you get done for that.
Can't do that.
I mean, that is taking away the goodwill spirit which should exist between a council or a local authority and the people who live there, because you work for us. We're not slaves to your dictatorial attitude to it. You work for us to run the borough, and therefore you show some allowance, you show some empathy, some sympathy for the busy lives that people have. Just some common sense. And anybody who gets the slightest little bit of authority, old Jackie Smith.
You've seen your time, by the way.
Hang on, Jackie Smith used to be the Home Secretary years ago, whose husband used to watch porn films.
That's right, paid for by the taxpayer.
Paid for by the taxpayer, that's right, yeah. Yeah, she introduced what she called, citizen rights campaigners, who she gave the right of citizens' arrest to. And once you get somebody like that thinking, "Oh, I've got power now," they go around looking for trouble.
Yeah. It's like those people in villages that hold up speed cameras.
That's right,
and put the yellow high-vis jacket on.
Absolutely. Looking for trouble.
Little Caesar.
Look at me. I'm important. I'm powerful. I'm going to, you've got a big car and a fast car. I'm going to show you.
All right, calm down.
Yeah.
This is Talk Radio.
The Two Mics on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Back tonight from 7 on Talk Radio, it's broadcasting legend James Whale. James will try and make sense of today's big stories, take your calls and try to keep his sidekick Ash in check.
Yeah, I have to say, great to see James back here, isn't it?
It is.
When I see him sloping around sometimes on a Sunday morning.
On a Sunday, yes.
I think, the legend is back.
He's tremendous, isn't he?
And it's great to have Ash back as well.
Ash has never gone away. They've tried to get rid of Ash a few times.
Yeah, they have, I know.
He's always outsmarted them.
Yeah, they've constantly tried to trash Ash, but Ash bounces back.
Yeah, you can't trash Ash.
You can't trash Ash. You ain't going to trash our Ash.
Yeah.
Anyway, tune in for the James Whale Show tonight.
I'm just going to do a bit of impressions of my own.
Yeah, I quite like that, yeah. Tune in for the James Whale Show tonight.
James
folks.
Whale?
James Whale. Just listen up. Tune in for the James
maybe
Whale
he'd been
Show.
in for the op.
Tonight from 7 until 10, only here on Talk Radio.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll look forward to that. And we will be talking to James, I suppose, from time to time, won't we? Maybe we should ring up his show. Put a few things to
I did that
him.
once, actually.
Did you? Yes. And there's a famous piece of famous piece of audio from you.
There is,
don't know when you rang up from Russia. A few
no.
sheets to the wind.
No, it wasn't from Russia.
Was it in Russia?
No, it wasn't.
Are you sure?
No, it was from Croydon, actually.
Oh, was it?
And it was to pay homage to James, and it all went a bit sort of awry.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well-
I think the message got lost in the delivery.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, sometimes after a certain amount of time
Yeah, well,
in the
that's right.
evening, it's not a good
Yeah,
time
yeah,
to ring
sure,
in. But I'll tell you what we're going to do now, though, because you've been moaning all morning about the weather and how terrible it is. And as I look out the window here in Talk Radio Towers, it is absolutely tipping it down, right? I mean, I think there are some parts of the country which are being flooded because it's awful.
Yep.
We're going to go up to a place called Galston-on-Sea in Norfolk. I don't know if
it's
you've ever been
lovely.
up there. There's a place called JJ's Cafe there, right? And it's owned by a guy called JJ. And he's on right now because if you're running a cafe in a seaside resort, you must be doing very badly, right?
Miserable.
JJ, very good afternoon to you.
Morning to you, boys.
Yeah, hello, JJ.
Now, listen, I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but down here in London, it's absolutely awful. Is this the worst August you've ever experienced?
It's all good I've ever seen for a long time in my business, and obviously it's raining cats and dogs at the moment.
Yeah,
so you can imagine not many people about it.
That's right. Now, JJ, I suppose that you always, your economic circle of your year, you bank on a good summer because obviously you have low months in December, January, February. But if you're not taking in the dosh during August, it's a bit of a crisis, isn't it?
Well, that's one of the things. Obviously, you sort of obviously the gamble.
We're going to have to see if JJ, we're going to have to see if we can get you on a better line because
We're awfully sorry.
I don't know whether the weather's interfering with.
I think it is.
Sounds like he's underwater, doesn't it? So we'll try and get that slightly more improved.
But the point we're making here, Mike, is because obviously, I live down on the coast. You often visit the coast from your home in Sussex.
Yes.
And it's great to see, in August, you expect to see families there with little kids running around on the beach and building sandcastles and the ice cream van, with its distinctive noise and all this kind of stuff. You expect to see all that in August.
Well, last Sunday, right, I was out, I think I told you I discovered this new pub. It's not a new pub. I mean, it's a pub I've been driving past for years and years and years.
Yes.
And finally went in. And it's a fantastic pub, a fantastic menu, great little garden out the back.
Right.
We were sitting there, and I thought to myself, this is the first time this summer that I've actually been out on a Sunday afternoon in the back garden of a pub having a pint and something nice to eat because it hasn't been that nice.
Well, the most amazing stat I've come up with is that in August I have not yet picked up the watering cans to water the plants in the roof garden.
Yeah,
in the whole of August.
Right. You haven't needed to.
I mean, normally you do them every day because it's so
Because it's
hot.
all parched,
That's right, and parched and all that kind of stuff. It's absolutely shocking.
I mean, they have said, haven't they, that the point about climate change is not so much that it's going to get necessarily hotter, but it's going to get maybe less definable in terms of different seasons. It's going to be wetter and sort of more warmer, if you know what I mean.
Much less predictable.
Yeah.
Because we always used to know that, what you get in spring, what you get in autumn, what you get in summer in the middle. It ain't happening like that anymore. We don't even get cold winters now. It's all levelling out.
Well, when was the last time we had any decent snow?
Oh, I've never seen snow for years.
No.
Not for years and years. But the reason we were talking to JJ there is
we've got him back, by the way. Should we see if we've got...
Yeah, absolutely.
JJ, is that a better line?
Hello, lad. Yeah, back.
No,
that's brilliant.
You see, the great thing about mobile phones is that you can walk around, but unfortunately most of the time they don't work.
Especially if you're on the beach.
Yeah, well, exactly right. So, glad you're now on a landline. How bad has it been for you this summer up there?
Well, I should imagine we're sort of at least 50% down at the moment, and it doesn't seem to have the weather doesn't seem to have even looked like it's going to get better at the moment.
No.
So,
I mean, does it stop people coming, or people still come because they booked in advance? They just don't go out. I mean, what happens to holidaymakers when there's rain on the beach?
Well, I don't think we're seeing too many holidaymakers at the moment. We're lucky we've got the dog walkers about, but the hardened ones sort of do walk up and down still. But obviously, holidaymaker-wise, and the children playing on the beach doesn't seem to be happening at all at the moment. Which is a great shame. That
is. And when you say you're 50% down, presumably in the summer months, that's when you make all your money. I mean, are you open all year round?
Yeah, we are open all year round, I'm afraid, which is a good thing and a bad thing in some way. But, obviously, you do take the bulk of your money sort of in the summer period, and obviously you trade. But as you probably can understand in this game, you never know when the weather is going to turn. It could turn tomorrow and be bright sunshine and off we go again. But... doesn't look like it's going to happen, really, does it?
No, that's right. And also, you're up against the weak pound, aren't you? Because if you've got a weak pound situation and people find it more difficult to obviously go on holiday, then you're facing a double whammy there, aren't you?
Don't you then get more people coming here, though, as well?
I yes. agree with that slightly, and also you've got to understand small businesses get a hit at the moment with the old pensions and minimum wage going up and so on, and obviously you can't relay that onto your prices because it's not fair on the other people either. Yeah. So, again, we've got that hard sort of thing to get by on with too.
Yeah, and in terms of, I mean, I've always wondered this about restaurants and cafes and places where you're serving food, which obviously has to be fresh. I mean, how do you even know what to order and, how much to order and all that kind of thing if you can't really be very sure about the weather?
That is one of the very big problems. Obviously, you've just got to ride along with it and just hope for the best. You do get a lot of waste, and but if you haven't got it in stock and you do get that sunshine come out for that moment, you haven't got the stock. And if you don't buy in, you can't sell, can you? So,
that's right. I've got a brilliant idea for you, JJ, because my broadcasting colleague here, Mike Graham, has two boys of sort of just coming into teenage years, right? Now, they don't even want to play on the beach if it was boiling hot outside and the ice creams are plenty. So if you bought yourself about a dozen tabs, you know what I mean, and said every child who comes in age between 11 and 15 can borrow one and play on his computer games, you'd have a queue down the street, wouldn't you?
That's either that or be a radio presenter. There you go.
Well, that's right, absolutely. Yeah,
well, he's looking for a partner next week, Porky, because I'm going away on holiday. So if you fancy coming down Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you'd be struggling.
50-50. I'll be half of your wages. You have half the shop.
Yeah, well, that's not a bad idea, actually. I fancy branching out into something new. You know what I mean?
My luck, the sun will come out.
Yeah, you're going to host your Porky Scratchings.
Well, I was about to say, JJ, we just start a new line of Porky Scratchings. They're called Mike Parry Porky Scratchings, manufactured in Wigan. I take it that they're a top-selling product in your cafe, yeah?
Oh, definitely, yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
well, they soon will be, mate, because I'm going to send you a box, okay?
Yes, you are.
And introduce them to Norfolk, yeah.
Yes, that'd be great.
So presumably, have you got to the point yet where you've got the rain doctor on the way? Because you're going to need one soon, aren't you?
Oh, it's just terrible. Like I say, it's not stopped raining for weeks. A lot of the roads around this way, as you can probably understand, we've got the countryside just across the road too, all flooded and so on, and bit of a pain in the bum probably getting about. You just got to be a bit more careful.
Sounds miserable.
And so on.
Miserable.
It is. What's your best-selling sort of item in that cafe?
We do one of the best carrot cakes, I think, for miles around. So
carrot cake?
Carrot cake is our big favourite one. We've got everything here. Lobsters, crab. We just had a lobster come in now at the moment, about £6 in weight.
Really?
He's on his way cooking, ready for to have for dinner maybe, or some lucky person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got a spectrum of things here.
And when you say you're 50% down, JJ, I mean, how much more down can you get before you'd be slightly worried that actually this might have to be knocked on the head?
Well, sort of, when you say 50% down, you can just take a guess at that. But again, because we're open all year round, you just sort of ride it out really, and then at the end of the year, sort of say what you're up or down. But at the end, what can I say? You're in it for the long game, aren't you? I'm afraid that all the sort of people like myself have to ride the weather out and times out at the moment and see what happens at the end.
Well, listen, try a bit of diversity. I've got two ideas for you. One, start having a rave instead of just being a cafe, right?
Oh, an illegal rave?
Yeah, well, any sort of rave.
You can't give advice about illegality.
No, not illegality, legal rave. Yeah. But the other one, which I see, there's a hotel near me, and once a month they do an 70s, 80s, 90s disco. I don't mean the age of the people who come to it. I mean
most of my customers are in coming from the 60s and 70s.
Right? Well, there you go. Before. That's right. So give them a cup of coffee and a quick twirl of John Travolta or something like that, and you'll have them again queuing down the street.
But anyway, Tony Bennett and Frank Sinatra, I'm afraid. So I don't think they're going to be moving too fast or dancing too quick.
I left my heart in San Francisco. Well, listen.
Let's not have any duets, please.
But listen, JJ, I just want to say thanks ever so much for being so optimistic and so full of life and bubble, despite the fact that times are troubling.
Yep. Indeed.
Yeah.
JJ, thanks very much indeed. That's JJ from JJ's Cafe in Gorleston-on-Sea. He's not doing terribly well, so if you're up in that neck of the woods, you should go there and get some carrot cake.
That's right. Get a cup of coffee.
Be the thing to do.
Get a cup of coffee.
Joe says this: is it the 1 minute moan today? Porky's on Parky warns he would have actually won it for once. You would have actually won it if it was a 1 minute moan. The 1 minute moan, of course, is on Saturday.
Yes.
When we return on the Talk Sports dial.
I've just had a rude note from.
Rude note?
Yeah, that guy James Max.
Oh yeah.
I know James Maxey. I thought he was an old colleague of mine.
James Max, he appears on Talk Radio on a regular basis.
I know, but he's just sent in a note saying that I once phoned his radio show.
Oh, did you?
Which I didn't think I ever had.
Oh, right. Maybe you've just forgotten.
Well, no, it's not that. It's I've got better people to phone than James Max, but he's insinuating that when I rang rang him, I was
You were under the
I was in
influence.
a confused state.
Well, there's certainly several pieces of audio, I'm pretty certain, and I'm sure one of them is from Moscow. Was it Ian Collins that you rang from Moscow, maybe?
I'm not sure about that.
I'm sure that you rang somebody from Moscow. I'm almost certain I've heard that.
Well, you may be right, but again, that might have drifted into the annals.
It sounds as though you've
lost
called
time.
pretty much every single late-night radio host that was ever here in this building.
No, I don't think
including James Whale.
I do not think so.
Richard says, we need a guest presenter when MG's off, otherwise it will be Radio Porky ranting about cobalt all week.
No, but that's what people want.
What about Derek?
Understand?
What about Derek from Pincoid?
Oh, the bog cleaner. Pincoid.
He's been promoted, by the way. And James doesn't seem to quite get it. He says, so, living in London is a pain. It was all brilliant yesterday when you were slagging off the North. James, we were not slagging off the North. We were saying that there was a difference in the North and the South of the country. But there didn't need to be an attitude change. And also, we weren't saying living in London is a pain. We were just saying paying for parking over the phone is a nightmare. And it doesn't matter which part of the country you're in. It happens everywhere, from Manchester to Carlisle to Brighton to Truro to Glasgow to even probably John O'Groats.
That's right.
Is what I would say.
That treacherous dog, James Max, right?
Yeah. Is he still going?
On his Twitter account. I didn't know he was.
I don't know who he was.
Well, I didn't know he was still going. I don't know anybody listens to him.
He was here the other week. You said hello to him.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, that was him, was it? I thought he was one of the guys cleaning up the kitchen.
You feel all right, are you?
Anyway, he says on his so-called profile, right? He says James Max, and guess what his handle is? The James Max.
The James Max.
So it's like the Donald, you know what I mean?
Well, some people have their Twitter handle like that because it makes it easier, because there'll be somebody else called James Max.
He sees himself as a superior being. Anyway, he describes himself as business. Yeah. What sort of business? Is it monkey business?
Well, he's a business guy, isn't he?
He then describes himself as real estate. Yeah, well,
property magnate.
I was going to say, where I come from, that means, slum landlord.
Why are you being so negative toward James Max? I don't understand.
Because James is putting out fake news about me.
Is he?
Yeah, I'm not having it.
Do you want us to go looking for the audio?
No, thank you. He says sometimes on Talk Radio. I think that's up to the discretion of the boss on the day when he's got a gap. And
you realise what the time
and
is,
he's very desperate to
I bet
fill
he hits
it.
the news on
and
time.
then finally, council member. Which council?
Well, I don't know. Why don't you ask him?
Council of Alcoholics.
Why don't you ask him?
And the Royal Albert Hall. What's that got to do with it?
What's he doing at the Royal Albert Hall?
I don't know. Just mentioned Royal Albert Hall. Okay. 4,000 holes in.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for that. I don't know who's going to attack next. Coming up, though, we're going to be doing a bit of wine tasting. If you think Porky's vitriolic now, wait till he's had a couple of glasses of Pinot Grigio. This is Talk Radio.
Madness, they call it madness. Madness, they call it madness.
This is Talk Radio. We are the two mics, and it might have been mentioned once or twice already on the show, but it happens to be my birthday today.
Yeah, do we have to repeat it?
Well, the thing is, somebody had the great idea, it might have been me, to suggest that somebody comes in with a load of booze.
That was me.
No, you gave me a fake bottle of whiskey.
Yeah, I know. I gave you a fake
bottle
of whiskey.
Instead of that, I've invited... the very, very capable and very, very interesting Helena Nicklin, right?
Yes.
Who is the wine bird.
Yes.
Who's brought us a load of wine.
And can we just point out, please, that it's not a sexist remark. That is actually your title, is it not, Helena?
It is, yes. Wine bird.
Yes, exactly.
Well, it's a Twitter handle, actually.
That's what I mean.
Porky doesn't understand technology
that's
very well.
But Helena, I want to welcome to our studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. Just tell us, first of all, before we get stuck into some of these sumptuous wines that you've brought in.
It looks great, doesn't it?
What exactly is the wine bird business?
Well, Winebird is all about stripping out the technicalities and talking about wine in a normal way.
Right. You mean like, let's drink a lot of it?
Let's drink a lot of it. Obviously, everything in moderation.
Oh, yes.
Well, that's
especially moderation.
Bladderation in moderation.
moderation.
You came on our show on Talk Sport, funnily enough, a couple of weeks ago, just on the phone, which is how we sort of hatched this plot in the first place. Right?
Yeah, I learned a new word.
Indeed, and we were talking about wine boxes then, weren't we? Because I don't know if you brought any wine boxes today, but they're back.
Don't worry, there's quite a few bottles here, I can tell you.
No, look, he's salivating. I mean, he can barely keep himself away from the stuff.
Well, the point is, I must make Helen aware of the fact that, just in case you have a dodgy insurance policy, only 1/3 of my heart works, so so I mustn't imbibe too much.
We do say one of the selling points of this show is that one day, when you're listening to it, he'll probably keel over and die live on air. So it's a sort of, I mean, you don't get to hear that sort of thing on most radio stations. Exactly. So it's something to look forward to.
Right. Anyway, so I think we should get stuck in. So so what I'd like to say is, Helena, what is the favourite wine you've brought us today, which we can sample and put to our palates right now?
Favourite wine? Well, you should probably tell me that, but I'd quite like to give you two
Lovely.
to start off with.
You can give me
Here
3
we
or
go.
4 if you want.
Let's see, there's one for you.
Thank you.
Tasting some white wines here.
Oh, a nice bouquet.
You can hear it pouring into the glass nicely, which is good.
The bouquet, yeah.
See, the way I like to do things is to start at the real beginning with wine, because it's such a sexy subject, but it's so complicated.
Yes.
I got fed up with wine people basically starting with technical winemaking when it comes to talking to beginners, and really I think it should all be about grape variety at first.
Okay. Yes. So this first one, the first glass you poured for me, I'm about to taste it. What is it?
This is a Chardonnay.
Chardonnay. I love Chardonnay.
Do you like this Chardonnay?
Right, let me taste it now. I'm going to taste it now.
Now, what about, before we start, it's already too late, Porky's already started drinking it. I mean, you know when you see people sort of swilling the wine around and checking the legs and all that kind of thing that people do with red wine a lot of, I should tell you that you can see he's not much, he's more of a Wetherspoons man than anything. So as long as it's cheap and cheerful, he loves it, right?
Excuse me.
Is there any point in doing all of that and then smelling it? And I mean, is that just a bit of sort of...
It does look rather Ponzi, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, as does the whole... thing.
Yeah.
It's never the sexiest thing to watch, but no, there is a reason for it. It opens it all up, so you can get much more out of the smell, and actually opens the flavours up as well.
Yes, okay. Now,
what about the actual glass itself? Because obviously, you know, many restaurants that you go to, they'll serve you the red wine in a very big sort of balloon glass, which I quite like occasionally. But at home, if you've got too big of a glass, I find that you just drink too much of it because you're steady.
Sorry,
we've got to still do another hour of the show.
Okay. Yeah.
If you know, I quite like these small glasses you brought in because actually, you know, if you give me too big of a glass, I'll just drink too much.
Yeah, of course
too
you will.
Quickly.
Yeah, you've got a mouth when it comes to drink, like the Grand Canyon.
Yes.
You couldn't fill up the Grand Canyon with water on Earth. You couldn't fill up its mouth with enough wine to stop him drinking.
Would you mind if Helen just answered the question that I asked her?
Well, exactly.
The most
you have
important...
to fight for your airtime here, by the way. Sorry. Don't let him interrupt.
I get it. The most important thing is that you only fill a wine glass to about a third of the way.
Right.
No matter how big it is. Because then it gives you space to swirl it around, get the air in it, you taste a lot more.
I must admit, one of the things that I hate is going to those very expensive wine bars in London particularly, where they'll charge you something like 12 quid for a glass of wine, and they give you this massive glass of wine filled to the brim, and it's kind of off-putting to me.
It is, to me as well. I have to sip it, but I always get through it, obviously. You know, yeah.
How courageous.
Now, I'm ahead of the game here a bit, Helen, I beg your pardon. So could I just ask you, what is the second one I'm now tasting?
The second one is also a Chardonnay.
Oh.
Can we not discuss the first one a bit more?
Well, I've drunk it.
Well, I know you've drunk it.
I finished mine.
But you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of those kind of oaky Chardonnays we all used to drink in sort of the mid-90s, which I've sort of given up drinking. I don't drink so many Chardonnays.
Which country was the first Chardonnay from?
Well, the reason I've shown you two Chardonnays together was to give you a really good example of cold climate versus warm climate.
Okay.
So we've got the first one's a Chablis, because not everyone knows that Chablis is Chardonnay.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought Chablis was Chablis.
No, it's in France. They often name it after the region, not the
You
grape.
thought Chablis was just something you bought if you were trying to impress a woman, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's always very much more expensive than anything else. So I always say, I'll get you a Chablis. I don't like the taste
their
of
eyes
Chablis
light up.
normally.
Normally,
yeah, right,
after he's been going out with them for a couple of weeks, it's back to the old Pinot Grigio.
Yeah.
Well, many people do. Many people do.
Exactly.
I haven't actually got the second one, by the way.
Have you not?
Oh, you've
Okay,
been remiss in handing out the second one.
See, I've got my second. I've even got my third, actually.
Yes,
So
I'm
it's
sure you
quite
have,
good,
yeah. So this one is similarly a Chardonnay,
So
the second one.
to go with the Chablis, I've chosen an Australian Chardonnay, but from the cooler part, from Adelaide.
Oh, that's nice,
Adelaide
actually.
Hills.
I prefer that, to be honest.
Ooh, yum, yum,
Oh, do
yum.
you?
That's because it doesn't
I like
taste as
chinking
oaky.
the glasses together, because that's a drinking sound, isn't it?
Do you know, if I'd had that
nice.
that first Chablis, if you'd said to me, what is that? I would never have thought that was a Chablis. It tastes very Chardonnay-ish.
Well,
it is a Chardonnay, you idiot. You just
No,
told
I know
us
that. No, I know that, but we both didn't know that it was
Honestly,
a Chardonnay.
you oaf. Listen.
No, but we didn't know it was a Chardonnay. As Helena said, most people don't know that.
Oh, yeah, but the Chablis I normally drink are more distinctly Chablis and sharper than a Chardonnay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
I
this
like
one's
it.
not.
I like it. I buy quite a
decent
lot of
wine knowledge.
I buy quite a lot of Petit Chablis. Is that any good?
Petit Chablis.
I quite like it.
Petit Chablis
It's cheaper.
The little Chablis.
You see, he's had a couple of glasses of wine now. He's already over the edge.
No, but this is
His alcohol level is so high that if you just even give him one glass of
Just
wine, he's
topping
gone.
up.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Petit Chablis is good. It's the first on the quality ladder, though. Chablis is the next
it's
step.
further up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent. Yeah, well, this is very nice as well.
Which do you prefer, Mike?
Do you know what happens with me? If I drink two different glasses of wine one after the other, they all start tasting the same. But I prefer the first one, even though it was a Chablis stroke Chardonnay, to the second one, which is a pure Chardonnay, right?
I like the second one. It's a little bit less harsh to me.
Yes, okay.
You know, a little bit more
I love New
palatable.
World. I love New World whites, and the second one's Australian, isn't it?
Yes.
What was the first one? I've forgotten.
The first one's French, Chablis.
French. Now, that's interesting, that, because the only red wine I drink is French. I love Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
Oh.
And,
It's the only one you know, isn't it?
No. I like Beaujolais, and I like Fleury, and I like Beaune, okay? So I know my French red wines.
No, you don't.
But I don't like the old Merlot stuff from the New World. However, I do love New World white, so I'm going to have some more of this.
Mm-hmm.
So you can talk to him while I drink.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. He's going to be great when he does Porkyvision at past. You know we're going to do that still, right?
Double vision.
Yeah, exactly.
Double vision.
That's very good. Well
very
done,
good.
yeah.
Well done. So tell us a bit more about your work while you're here.
Okay.
We've got another couple of minutes before we
no
have
worries.
another glass.
Well, Winebird exists to de-stuffify, because I've just made that word up.
Yeah.
Word up wine. I've tried to devise my own formula for where to start when I want to learn about it, because so many people want to know a little bit more, but they don't necessarily want a degree in winemaking.
Sure.
Yes.
So do you have kind of sessions that you host, or do you go to wine bars and teach people stuff, or how does that work?
Yeah, I do all of that. I go to wine bars and teach people stuff. I run tastings, private tastings, and I write about it a lot, and I make loads of slightly silly YouTube videos.
Because you know what's good about this kind of the way that people...
Because we make slightly silly YouTube videos.
We make very silly YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Quite
He does an
often
impersonation of Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's not
YouTube
as good
videos.
as our last impersonation that was in there, so I'm not going to do it now. But one of the things that I suppose people are now branching out to do is people are having themed parties, you know. And I've already been invited to a couple of these where people will go to...
You've been invited to what?
A couple of, it's a party, but it's a wine tasting rather than just having a party.
Invite you? What for?
Well, I get invited to a lot of stuff that you don't know about. Yeah, like Piers Morgan's birthday party. Do you remember that one?
I couldn't go.
No, you weren't invited.
I didn't go.
No, you weren't invited.
I didn't want to go.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, you can do, people like to have that kind of an evening, don't they? Corporate evenings are similar like that. Rather than going just out for dinner, go to a wine tasting and learn something.
Yeah, it breaks down barriers. Everyone likes walking away with a couple of nuggets of information.
Sure.
Yes.
There's nothing like a good bit of wine to...
Absolutely. Now, I'm already on the third one.
You realise that we're almost out of time.
What is the third one I'm drinking?
I mean, not out of time because we're moving. Hold that thought, because we've just got to take a short break. And Porky, by the time we come back, could be completely comatose.
I don't think so.
This is Talk Radio.
It is.
Stay tuned to Talk Radio, because from 4, John Nicholson jumps in the hot seat to make sure you get home well informed and entertained. He'll be talking to Ambassador for Mental Health and author Rachel Kelly about why men are more likely than women to suffer from mental health problems caused at work.
That's absolutely right. And editor of Pink News, Benjamin Butterworth, that's a great name, isn't it? We'll pop in to look at what's trending online, and the Sun's bizarre reporter, Benji Potter.
A lot of Benjis.
There's a lot of Benjis around, certainly are. We'll be catching up with us. It says catching up with us with all the entertainment stories. Don't miss Live at Drive with special host John Nicholson from 4 until 7, and it's only here, and we are Talk Radio.
We certainly are, and we are in the midst, I'm very happy to say, of a rather delightful wine tasting event, which has been hosted here by the Winebird, Helena. She's given us some Chardonnay already, some Chablis. We're now moving on to some reds, right?
Absolutely. So I'll try the first red. Here, I've got it in my hand here. Just a little.
Perhaps you can tell us whether it's one of your
that was the first. That was the first you said.
The second one. Oh, was it first?
Yes, right, okay. So tell me what this is, please.
Okay, well...
What a bouquet. I mean, I have got the most sensitive nose in the world.
Why don't you see if you can identify it then?
Well,
before
okay,
Helena tells you what it is.
Identify. And am I right, Helena, that what you do is, the right way to taste wine is, you put it into your mouth, you allow the wine to run off your tongue into the gunnels of your gums, right?
Gunnels of your gums?
The gunnels of your gums, that's right,
yeah. No hope for him.
Okay, and then underneath your tongue is your taste buds, and the top of your mouth is your palate.
I thought the taste buds were actually on the tongue.
They are nearly on the tongue.
Or maybe they're underneath yours.
And when it's gone all around that, then you let it slowly slide down your throat. Is that right?
Or...
What? Or what?
You put it in your mouth, you get it all around.
Okay, right.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Don't be afraid to make that noise.
So you're not able to identify it from its bouquet?
For its bouquet.
No.
This is definitely French.
Yes.
Thank you.
He's probably reading the bottle. Can you see the bottle?
No, I can't see the bottle. It's definitely French, and in my view, it is from the Beaujolais family, but not a cheap Beaujolais. I'd put it somewhere like Fleury.
Not a bad guess.
Thank you.
You're not right, though.
Oh, right, okay.
Sorry.
That's usually what he gets wrong. I mean, he gets everything wrong, basically, but he's quite often close to getting it right.
Well, how about you look at it? Because this grape really gives you a clue as to what it is, despite...
Yeah, I can't see any grapes. You see what I mean?
It's the colour she's talking about.
Yes, I know. Yes, yeah. Go on, yeah.
And also how clear it is, right?
Well, yeah.
It's pretty clear.
But mostly, this grape is famous for being quite light-skinned, so it's really pale.
So it is a Beaujolais then?
So it's very similar to a Beaujolais. Well, it's not from a million miles away. It's a Pinot Noir.
Pinot
from
Noir, I love
Burgundy
it.
in France.
So hang on, tell me as an expert, is Pinot Noir the red opposite of Pinot Grigio?
No, it's a completely different grape variety.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So why are they called both Pinot then?
Well, because lots of things have the same first word, don't they? But they're not
Like
actually.
Mike.
Yeah, like Mike Parry, who's completely different from Mike Graham.
Or like...
He's an idiot, and I'm not.
I'm just going to ignore that. Or like Bayern Munich and Bayern Leverkusen.
No, that's not the same word.
Manchester United, Manchester City.
No,
Exactly.
No,
There
Bayer
you go.
Leverkusen is not Bayern Leverkusen. It's Bayer Leverkusen.
It is,
because they're
actually,
named
yeah.
after the drug company.
That's true, yeah.
Because that's the town that the drug company's based in.
It's absolutely true.
Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah. Well, it's simple.
Anyway.
Wow.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Pinot,
So
this is
Pinot
Pinot
Noir.
Noir.
Where's it come from?
This is
So
nice.
This first one is from Burgundy, and I've paired it with a New World one as well, because I really wanted to show you the difference that a little bit of sunshine makes.
Ah. So you're saying that the sunshine from the New World is presumably better than the sunshine in the Old World. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's about climate and age of vines. That's the main thing.
Because, I mean, in some parts of France, they get some very, very hot weather, don't they?
Yeah, they do, but then... Yes.
What, you mean like in Saint-Tropez?
Well, also in...
Don't grow grapes in Saint-Tropez. Saint-Tropez is where Brigitte Bardot comes from.
Oh, really?
They don't have wine for...
Do they have wine? They have loads of wine in the south of France.
They have the most amazing rosé from around Saint-Tropez.
Really?
Yeah.
What, vineyard?
So you got something else wrong.
No. Rosé's a fake wine anyway.
Right, okay. You're in the company of somebody who's an expert
We'll
here.
convince you that...
Rosé is my favourite wine to drink in the summer months.
Oh, yeah.
Because normally in the winter I'm drinking red
drink
a lot.
more of it, that's why.
Well, I just got a case of rosé from my wine supplier, the other day. And it's still 12 bottles, 2 of each of different varieties. Some from, actually, bizarrely, one bottle from Romania. Which actually is not bad. Romania, yeah. But, Central Europe is very hot in the summer.
What's it called? Ceausescu.
No. See,
yeah.
He's absolutely away with the fairies now.
No, I'm not. But Helena, I have to, as he's mentioned rosé, I have to make you aware of Mr. Graham's Friday and Saturday night routine. We call it the WRRW.
This is not
he
true,
drinks
by the way.
a bottle of wine to start off with, then he drinks a bottle of red, then he moves on to the rosé, and he finishes off with a couple of whiskies. That's his bladderation trail at the weekends.
That's not
What do you
true.
think about that?
I think that would definitely help you get bladderated.
It certainly would, yes.
Yeah, it's not true. I once did that because there was a boxing match on that I wanted to watch. It was on in the early hours of the morning.
Oh, so you definitely admit now to having done it?
I've already admitted to having done it, but I don't
My
do it
God.
every single week, is what I'm saying. I mean, this man is a man possessed. So, unfortunately, because of the amount of alcohol that I imbibed, by the time the live stream came on at about 4 in the morning,
Yeah, you couldn't
I
say
couldn't work
anything.
it out.
No, you
I
couldn't.
couldn't work it out. And then when
Yeah.
I finally managed to get it sorted, and about 5 o'clock the fight started,
You didn't know who was punching who?
No, suddenly the screen froze, and I had to, it was one of those Wi-Fi issues, in the house, and I was walking around with the laptop trying to make it work, and I ended up sort of halfway up the stairs. It was a real nightmare. Anyway, but listen, I like this. Is this also a Pinot Noir, the second
Yeah,
one?
they're both Pinot Noir.
From where is this? Is this from Argentina?
This is from Chile.
Chile, so I was in the right area.
Yeah, it's a cooler part of Chile, but it's just...
Cry for me, Argentina.
Yeah, he's drunk now.
No, I'm not.
There you are.
I've been to Chile. I've been to the Atacama Desert.
Ah.
Okay.
Let's make this about you then, shall we?
No. But
Did you have any Pinot Noir while you were there?
Loads. Chilean red. Chilean red is one of the finest reds I've ever tasted. So much so that when we got back, because I was there on a facility trip, with some Fleet Street friends, we got back. We went to somewhere like the RAC Club in London, where we found they were the only place that served this fantastic Chilean red, because this was some years ago and it wasn't here. And we had 6 bottles. It was wonderful. It's my favourite red.
It's really good value as well.
It's very
Chile's,
nice.
yeah.
I can't tell which one I prefer. I think I prefer them equally.
I prefer the second.
Yeah.
Do you?
Well,
It's a little bit more oaky.
It's a bit more robust, isn't it?
Yes, a bit more
The
robust.
Chilean one.
That's a good word.
it is robust, but if you compare it to other reds, Pinot is definitely the ballerina of wine grapes.
Right.
Ethereal, light-bodied, cherry silk gown, all of that.
Yeah.
What's your view of putting red wine in the fridge?
I quite like it sometimes.
I quite like it sometimes.
Yeah. If you've got a really alcoholic hot red, it does tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And it can make some wine taste better.
What is your view of slicing up a strawberry and putting it into your red wine?
into a red wine.
A strawberry?
Yes.
Wouldn't you just do that in champagne?
Well, Robert Maxwell used to do this.
Yeah, but he was a horrible pig.
Yeah, he was. And there was one particular dinner where he did it, and then, a couple of the grovellers around the table, "Oh, do you do that, Robert?" "Yes, I do as well." But is it something popular that people do?
I don't think so.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
I've never done it, though. I might try it.
No, I've got a brilliant idea.
Strawberries, though, very nice.
Yeah.
I've got a brilliant idea. The next feature on the show is supposed to be Porkyvision.
Yeah.
And I prefer doing this.
What do you mean we should just carry on drinking?
Well, I don't.
Got a lot more wine.
Can't see any point in doing Porkyvision much. Can you? I could do Porkyvision and this. Why don't I do Porkyvision while we do this?
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
You mean Helena could stay with us and continue on with the various different types of wines? Have you got more wines to show us?
I do. Yeah, we have another 2.
Oh, right, okay.
So we've got another 2, so we could do that. There's no reason not to.
And I'll do Porkyvision, and you can listen to Porkyvision live. Probably the first person who ever has done as a member of the audience, yeah.
Will you now see Helen as a member of your audience?
Well, I see Helen as an expert in
Helena.
Yes, Helena. Yeah. Helena is an expert in a vital field of human endeavour, and that's why I don't think we should, miss this opportunity to extend the audience participation routine.
All right. Now, talking about the new world, and obviously Chile and Argentina and South Africa and Australia and all that kind of thing are pretty established now. I mean, places like Romania, if you'd said to me 5 years ago, would you like to try this Romanian wine? I probably would have said, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't really think I like to drink wine from Romania. It'd be like old Larry Lamb used to say, I wouldn't wash my car with that stuff,
That's
but
right.
actually, are they coming up as a sort of new world country?
Definitely. Romania definitely is. You can get some really nice ones from certain supermarkets.
Yeah.
But not just Romania. Places in Europe, like the new old world.
Right.
Bulgaria.
Yes, I've seen that. Hungary.
Slovenia.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've really upped their game in terms of winemaking. They've got a lot of new equipment. And the stuff coming out of there is really nice now.
Yeah. And how do you find the mass production of wine these days? Because I always try and find... I try not to buy, just...
mass-produced wine.
Stuff that is kind of being shipped in by the ton. We heard, in fact, I don't think it was with you, but with another wine expert, that an awful lot of wine that's now sold in shops here is actually brought over in casks and bottled here. And I'd like to think that the wine that I'm drinking is kind of being produced in a vineyard somewhere abroad, being put into a bottle, and then being brought here in a bottle. Is that harder to do now? We're finding that harder to find those kinds of wines?
No, it's still largely done like that. I mean, it can be shipped over and brought into this country, but it's still made in the country of origin. That's the most important thing.
Wine from Oregon's quite good as well.
Wine from Oregon
I had
is
some of that at
awesome.
my wedding, actually, funnily enough, a long time ago. Helena, stay with us because we've still got more wine to drink. We've got more fun to have with Porkyvision while he drinks. This is your favourite way to do the radio, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is, yeah.
I
think it should be a regular feature, actually.
Well, we just have somebody giving us wine all through the show.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
The Two Mics on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
That music can only mean one thing, slightly with a difference this week, though, because Helena Nicklin is here. She is the wine bird. She's brought some beautiful wines with her, and I've got 2 lovely reds in front of me here, which we're going to sample in a second.
That's right.
So we're going to try and do something we've never done before.
That's right.
Which is a double-header scenario. You do your Porkyvision, while I and Helena drink some wine.
Yeah, well,
what do you think of that?
Well, I'll be drinking a bit as well.
Well, you can't if you're doing all the talking.
Yeah, well, I like to do a bit of talking, and remember, when you talk, you have to lubricate your vocal cords.
You do.
Now,
well, while you're preparing for your Porkyvision opus...
I'm prepared.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there was.
Do you know what you're going to be reviewing?
Yeah, I'm going to review. Now, there was a new show on last night. Okay.
Yes.
And it stars the woman who's going to be the next.
You sure
Doctor
you're ready?
Who. Yeah, the next Doctor Who.
Oh, the next Doctor Who, yeah.
Right. Now,
well, you see, this is typical of people on TV, right?
Yeah,
she gets announced as the new Doctor Who. Next thing you know, she's in another show, which has nothing to do with Doctor Who.
Yeah, but that was recorded before the announcement of Doctor Who.
Yeah, I know that.
Now,
but why is it that the same people are always on television?
Well, I don't know.
That's what I'm asking
because
you.
Perhaps they're pretty good. Anyway, what I was going to say to you is that she is...
What's her name?
Well, this is the point.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, but I'm not sure the name matters, you see, because what I was going to say to you
Really?
what I was going to say to you is that doing my TV review... Now, here we go. She had a show on last night called...
What's it called?
It's called My Story or something, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Or something like
You're
that.
the one that's reviewing it.
Yes. I thought it was on last night.
You sure you don't want more time to prepare?
No. But anyway, look, the point is, it was very good.
Maybe Helena should tell us what this first red wine is.
No. So what's this red wine, Helen?
This is the rugby player of wine grapes. It's Cabernet Sauvignon.
When you say the rugby player, how do you mean that?
Well, it's full-bodied, it's big, it's well-structured, all those purpley black bruises.
Okay.
You know,
Right, okay.
that kind of thing.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Slightly.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, if
Easier to mellow.
Now, hang on, if you're talking about a Cabernet Sauvignon, which is rugged and all that, could we perhaps ally it to another programme we're going to review, Poldark?
Oh.
Could it be the Poldark?
It's definitely a Poldark.
Is it a Poldark?
He's not particularly rugged, is he?
You bet. He's like the world's biggest heartthrob at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah.
Would you say Helen? Yeah. Now, did you see the last
Helena,
episode?
it's Helena.
Helena. Did you see the last episode, Helen?
Yeah, I did.
Now,
all women love this guy, right?
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to.
What?
You're not supposed to.
But in addition
it's
to
not supposed
being
to make you weak at the knees.
No. In addition to being a hunk, he's also, remember, Captain Ross Poldark, and is a military hero as well, who went and rescued his mate from jail in France and shot 10 Frenchies. Right?
Yeah, well, he's
so
a fictional character.
Yeah, I know, it doesn't matter. He's good.
I mean, I can understand women liking to watch him because he's a hunk.
Yes.
What I can't imagine is why the hell you watch this rubbish.
Because I like heroes, and I love British heroes,
Really?
okay? Spitfire pilots, Poldark guys, Hornblower. Lord... Horatio Lord Nelson. I love all these people, okay? Now, what I was going to say was...
You know, I read a story the other day that he changed his name to Horatio. That wasn't actually his real name.
Do you know what his real name was?
What was it?
Horace.
Horace, yeah.
Well, yeah.
So he changed it to Horatio.
Yeah, well, Horace
So
is
he's
a bit
just
weak for the Royal Navy,
He's a
isn't
bit
he?
like
Yeah.
you. Can you imagine Lord Horace?
Lord Horace, yeah. Anyway, as a lady in the studio... Helena, yes, thank you, yeah.
Mine's going.
By the way, no, it's not going, but you know where Napoleon ended up? St. Helena.
Yes, he did.
Yes, absolutely.
Isn't it pronounced Helena?
Helena, yeah. But I mean, it's spelt the same way.
Yeah.
Now, what I was going to say is, as a lady in the studio, I can't work out whether Demelza, Poldark's wife, it's Demelza, isn't it?
Well, you watched it.
Is it Demelza?
It is Demelza.
Demelza, yeah. Did she actually cheat on Poldark at the end, or did she not? She was in the long grass, literally, with another suitor. She was in the long grass, wasn't she, with another suitor? Mm-hmm. And there were, there's rather too graphic sort of viewing of where people's hands were going, wasn't there, a little bit, you know what I mean? But then she walked back in and got back
I've got absolutely no interest in this programme at all.
Well, Helena definitely has.
I don't think
Helena
so.
definitely has. While we're sipping this beautiful wine, I'll take another sip in a minute.
I'm going to try the second one now.
Try the second
which
one.
I presume is also Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yes.
You got it.
Yes. And what I was going to say was, then she walks back in, and the last scene is of them... cuddling up to each other in bed. So now this is another thing. We know he cheated with is it Helen?
Oh, I wish it were me.
No, but who was it?
It's a family show, this.
The woman to who?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. He cheated with Elizabeth, except Elizabeth swore to her husband, I have never cheated with you. But we know that she did.
She said she'd only slept with her previous husband, right?
That's right, only my previous husband and you.
That was a bit of the show that I saw before I got thrown out.
George Wallagon, or whatever his name
Wallagon.
is. Wally Oggeron.
Warlegan, isn't it?
Warlegan, that's the guy. And then actually, I think she's lied, but then I wonder whether has Poldark actually not had, intimate sexual relationships with her? What do we think?
I thought he had.
Well, we thought he had it.
So you got that wrong as well, then?
Well, I didn't get it wrong. It's a show.
What about the other show you were going to talk about?
I've forgotten the name of it. But,
and the woman who's in it.
Yeah, that's right.
She's in Doctor Who.
She's in Doctor Who.
Maybe we should just go back to the wine.
Well, no, the wine is very important. What role does wine play in television? Tell me that.
Not enough is the answer to that question.
Is that right? Really?
Yeah, well, I think it's really hard to do wine on telly because it just looks like wine, whereas, food looks amazing.
And also, I suppose, graphically, if a man's picking up a pint in the Rovers and, knocking it back a pint, I suppose that's far more graphic than somebody sipping at a glass of wine, isn't it, really? Which is far more sophisticated, obviously.
I mean, you see quite a lot of people drinking wine in TV, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and in real life. Everyone drinks it. I don't know why there's not more of it on screen, honestly.
Yeah. Exactly right. Now,
I'm sorry. We're still doing Porkyvision.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to give you a break from that for now because I'm going to say that the second Cabernet Sauvignon tastes again to me slightly stronger, slightly richer.
Yeah.
What is that one?
Well, it's Australian. It's from Margaret River, which is the Bordeaux of Australia, basically. Right. But it's just showing that little bit of extra sunshine gives it makes it great, more full-bodied, more alcoholic, and generally more in your face than the same grape grown somewhere cooler. Have you tried the Bordeaux?
Yes, I think I have.
The Bordeaux is the first one.
Whatever's in front of me. Helen, you just mentioned to me that Hollyoaks is one of your favourite shows. And no, you didn't actually. I told you it came from Chester and you mentioned Hollyoaks. But that's pretty sophisticated. There's plenty of wine and cocktail bars in
sophisticated?
Hollyoaks. Yeah, pretty sophisticated.
Is that your view?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Hang on. As part of Porkyvision, I want to announce...
Can you name anyone that's in it?
Excuse me.
Can you?
What?
Can you name anyone that's in it? Hollyoaks.
It's not something that I've been tracking lately.
No.
But what I can tell you is I've decided now because of our working hours this week to pick up on Emmerdale.
Okay.
So I watched a couple of episodes of Emmerdale this week, okay? This is part of Porkyvision, by the way.
Yes.
And I have to say, so far, I don't get it. Do you watch Emmerdale?
I don't, actually.
No, I don't get it.
What is your favourite television show? Now the Pole Dark's finished, of course. You're just going to watch it again on iPlayer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm into Modern Family, but that's.
Do you
on
like?
Netflix.
Do you like Peaky Blinders?
Peaky Blinders.
Porky Blinders.
Porky Blinders is something else. That's Porky Blunders, actually.
Peaky Blinders is ace.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's my favourite show ever. I mean, it's fantastic. Cillian Murphy is the greatest actor ever. The menace that he puts into his part, together with the compassion that he shows for his family, even though he's turned them all into the cops. I mean, it's a brilliant show.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I turned you onto it, didn't I?
You did.
I did.
And it's the first thing you've recommended to me I actually agreed with you on, and it was very good. I'm watching The Good Wife at the moment, which is excellent.
Yeah.
I recommend that. That is marvellous. It's a show on Netflix.
Oh, Netflix.
And you've got Netflix now, haven't you? Because you finally got him a smart TV about 6 months ago.
Helen, the other thing I want to tell you is...
We're out of time nearly, by the way.
Hang on. If Peaky Blinders is your favourite show, I went to the screening of the last episode of the last series with the writer, Stephen Knight. Okay.
But it wasn't just you and him, was it?
No, there was a few other people around. But
Yeah,
can I
a couple
just
of
say...
hundred.
No. It was very intimate viewing in a room in Soho. There's probably about 30 people there, including...
How did you get into that, then?
Well, because I was invited.
By?
Stephen Knight.
You sure?
Yes.
You weren't invited by Alan Brazil?
Well, Al was there.
Oh, you say he
there.
didn't invite you?
Well,
He's our breakfast host on the other station, Talk Sport.
The point is that I want to tell you, and I'm going to show you a picture in a minute to prove this is absolutely correct. Stephen Knight gave me a Peaky Blinders flat cap. Yes.
No way.
Yes, I've got a picture of myself in one. I carry it around in my pocket.
Why aren't you wearing it?
Sorry?
Why aren't you wearing it?
Well, we're indoors at the moment, but as it's raining today, I might on the way out.
Is that you finished chatting her up now?
No, I finished I finished Porkyvision.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Helen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you
It's
so
an
much.
absolute pleasure. Thank you very much
and
indeed.
for me.
If you want to hang around for the next 15 minutes, you can, but the producers may throw you out on the grounds that Ofcom don't allow you just to drink on the air and have a great time.
No, they don't.
This is Talk Radio.
This is a wine tasting.
The 21st century dream team of dialogue, debate, and discourse. The Two Mics on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Okay, folks, on Fridays at 7 p.m, it's time for the mother of all talk shows with George Galloway on Talk Radio. Gorgeous George, as I call him, as a friend. George will share his point of view and take your calls on the most controversial stories of the week. Tune in for the mother of all talk shows with George Galloway.
Hang on. I thought I was supposed to do the last bit.
Oh, look, you're very well.
Tune in for the mother of all talk shows with George Galloway.
Yes.
Or Gorgeous George, as we all call him.
Yes.
He's not just your friend.
No,
on Friday
right, yeah.
from 7 until 10, right here, only on Talk Radio.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you know, I love George Galloway.
Yeah.
You know, I don't always agree with all of his politics.
Yeah.
But he's a guy who I have total respect for.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
What?
Well, that used to be the name of his party.
Yeah, of course he did,
I have total respect for him.
Yeah.
And he does a great radio show.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think we should do? I think we should get him on Friday, on our show.
Yes.
To talk to him about what he's doing on Friday night.
No, I don't agree.
Why not?
Because I think next week, when you've abandoned me,
Yeah.
I think that's the time for George to come on and
Well,
spend some time with me in the studio.
Well, you can do that too.
Yes?
Well, this is this week when I'm
Okay.
still here.
All right, that's a good idea.
You know?
Okay.
I think that would be great.
Did you ever see Mr. Galloway take on was it Congress he took on, or was it a congressional inquiry?
Yes, it was a congressional hearing,
inquiry,
wasn't it?
that's
Yes,
right.
I did see that, and in fact, I was running the Scottish Daily Mirror
That's right.
at the time. It was front page news for us.
Exactly.
It was, George Galloway won, America nil.
Oh, absolutely.
It was brilliant.
They tried to make out that he'd been a traitor to the West.
Yes,
and,
because of his indefatigability conversation with Saddam Hussein. Don't try and say it.
Sir, I admire you for your indefatigability.
Very good.
Wasn't bad,
I
was
don't
it?
think after that many Pinot
No,
Noirs you could
exactly.
say that.
Well, that's probably why I can.
Well played.
Yes, absolutely. And a man of such, what was the word? Such self-confidence because he knows that he's good.
Well, he's a great orator.
Do you know what the only thing I wish about George is that he took the occasional glass of champagne to sort of up the gorgeous
But he's a
George.
teetotaler, isn't he?
Complete teetotaler. I think so is his father, and I think so are his children. And I have to admire the man for that, because to have such a bubbly spirit without the influence or the effect of alcoholic inducement is a truly terrific thing.
He is a terrific guy. Now we haven't got an awful lot of time left because unfortunately, we had to ask Helena to move away only because we were enjoying her company so much.
Exactly.
We didn't want to do the whole hour with Helena.
And she had quite a few bottles with us, so
I
we
think
might have drained
I
them.
think we'll have more business to do with Helena in the coming weeks and months.
Well, I think it's fair to say we can now announce we've appointed Helena as the Two Mics
official wine taster?
No, official wine taster, correspondent expert.
Yeah,
I'd say
I think
that.
in any port that we are finding ourselves in, we may have to draw on her expertise.
I totally agree.
In fact, I may even have to give her a call later when I'm off at this very expensive bar/restaurant. Once they hand me the wine list, I might have to give her a quick ring.
Is this where you're taking your family to?
Yeah, take a picture of the wine list and send it to her and say, what do you think? What is the best value here? This is a place where I told you, right?
Yes.
The hamburgers start at £18.50.
Yes.
Before we put anything on them.
You know, some members of your family are disappointed that I'm not joining you. You know that, don't you?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you who's not disappointed,
What?
and that's my daughter Emma.
What?
Because you absolutely disgracefully abused her beautiful
what do you mean?
Twitter post this morning, where she put out a lovely collage of pictures of the two of us together, wishing me a very happy birthday. And telling me that I was the greatest daddy in the world, as daughters tend to do, right?
Yes.
You besmirched it by putting out a second tweet saying, pass the sick bag, Alice.
Well,
that's nice.
Well, you know...
I know that you've got issues with your family.
No.
You've got issues with your parents.
No, I haven't.
You've got issues with the way you were treated as
I
a child.
I haven't.
You know, but the love of a daughter and of a son.
Did you think it was a bit
is something
syrupy? Bit syrupy?
Yeah, but that's what families are.
Yeah.
Families who love each other.
Yeah.
Families who like to spend time with each other, unlike your family, are actually very, very nice people.
Is that right? Yeah.
And if you don't like it, there's no need to say anything nasty. You just don't say anything.
Say nasty.
Have you never heard the expression? If you've got nothing good to say, better to say nothing.
Well, it's just an observation. Just an
Well,
observation.
the next time she sees you, and she's bigger than you, by the way, you may find yourself getting slapped around.
Oh, really?
And it's not a pretty sight when she does that.
So a threat of violence already, eh?
That's right. Well, you might want to bring your violent nephew with you to protect you.
My violent nephew is not violent. He's a damn good chap.
Uh-huh.
Right, OK. Now then, what I need to talk to you about is the fact that at the end of this week, we will have the Porky quiz.
We will.
And
actually, we have to work out what it's going to be on.
This is exactly what I'm
What
talking
is it going to be
about.
on?
Well, I think...
Maybe it should be on Pinot Noir.
I think it should be wine-based. I think it should be wine-based.
No, this is now just another excuse for you to get some wine
No,
going on.
not
We
at all.
can't do a show drinking wine every time.
Oh, we're not going to have any wine on it. I thought...
I think Colin, our producer, may have an issue with that.
Well, yes.
You know, because his bosses would tell him,
yes.
you know, can you not stop these guys getting blatherated on the air?
I'm not... Excuse me, I'm not even suggesting or insinuating there should be any actual wine in the studio when we have a quiz on wine, but something like that. And so what I thought was we could perhaps do it on one of my favourite wine regions in the world, and that's Stellenbosch.
Stellenbosch? You want to have a quiz on Stellenbosch?
Well, I know a lot about Stellenbosch because I went there during the 2010
Are you sure
World
that's
Cup,
a big enough arena?
And I was given an encyclopedia of Stellenbosch history.
Encyclopedia? Well, there's an encyclopedia, please. When it is at home.
You're right. It's probably a bit too narrow.
I think if you want to have one on, say, for example, New World Wine.
New World Wine? No, I don't think so.
No? How about South Africa?
No.
How about Cape Town?
No.
No?
So. I know a lot about Cape Town. Table Mountain and all that.
I mean, normally what we try to do is make it about something... I'll tell you what it is. I've got it.
Right.
This is what we do, because you know we try and make it about something current.
Yes.
Why don't we do it on North Korea?
North Korea?
Yeah. Quiz on North Korea.
Yeah, but I mean...
That's a great idea.
Well... The trouble is we don't know enough about North Korea because it's...
Well, that's why you do a quiz on it, so people will find out more.
It's the world's last sort of closed country, you know what I mean?
But that's why I believe a quiz on North Korea would be terrific.
Yes.
Because people would actually learn things about it.
Yes.
You know what? We could... Here's my offer to you.
Okay.
And I have to obviously square it with the independent quizmasters.
Okay.
I could offer you a multiple choice quiz on North Korea. so that what happens is you get asked a question,
Yes.
and then you get given 3 possible answers, and you get to pick one.
I don't actually like those multiple choice ones. You know why?
Why?
Because it's yes or no and all that.
No,
right.
it's not yes or no.
I have got now an idea.
No, it's not yes or no.
Excuse me. I've been looking at my information machine.
Have you? Your information machine.
Right. On Friday,
Yeah.
it is the Independence Day of Singapore.
That was today, actually.
What?
That's today.
No.
Yes, it is. Because I had the reason I know that is I had a tweet from one of our listeners in Singapore who said, "Happy birthday, MG." And by the way, can I just say to everyone who sent me happy birthday tweets and Facebook messages, thank you very much. Yeah. Very much appreciated. I can't answer all of them, but it's been very well received.
And can I just ask them, make sure you send me one, please, on the 29th of December.
When you will be how old?
A certain age, you know. Yeah.
Of a certain age.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, right, this guy from Singapore who's a fan of ours said, "I'll be listening to the show. Happy birthday, MG. Yes. And by the way, you share your birthday with the Independence Day of Singapore."
Yes, okay.
Which apparently is not that old.
No, it's 65.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, it's this week, so why don't we do it on Singapore?
You want to do it on Singapore?
Yes.
Okay, all right, let's do that.
Definitely, because I tell you what, it has got a really important role in the history of the decline of the British Empire.
You think?
Seriously. Oh, well, you know, when
it's only 65 years old.
No, what I'm saying is, it was but that was when it was separated from Malaysia. Before that, it was British.
Do you know I have been to Singapore and swum in the body of water which separates Singapore from Malaysia?
Okay.
I could actually see it.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
What do you mean, okay?
Well, I've been to Singapore and I spent most of the time drinking gin slings in Raffles Bar.
Doesn't surprise me.
In Raffles Hotel.
Well, one of the questions could be, and I'm not saying it will be, what is on the floor of Raffles Bar?
Yes. Apart from the snooker table, do you mean?
Eh? The snooker table's not on the floor.
No, underneath the floor.
No, what's on the floor of Raffles Bar?
What's the floor of Raffles Bar, yeah. Well,
if you've been there, you'd know the answer.
Well, there was a tiger underneath the snooker table for a long time.
No, you see, you're getting it all wrong.
No.
What is on the floor is the shells from monkey nuts, because they give you bucket loads of monkey nuts. You open them, you chuck the shells on the floor.
That's right.
That's what you do.
Yeah, I know that.
You didn't know that, did you?
Of course I know that. I've been there.
How about this from Coyne? He says, "Well done, MG. The way you carried El Planco through the last half hour while he got bladdered was absolute class." What do you think?
Sorry, I'm still tasting wine, so I can't really speak.
We are joined,
John.
of course.
Hello.
How are you, my boy? Have I given you a glass?
Sláinte.
Would you like a glass of Pinot Noir?
No, I'm on the tea.
Oh, are you?
Actually.
Is it green tea?
No, it's just
regular tea.
It's just regular builder's tea.
Builder's tea.
I really admire the way that you two boys drink your way through every afternoon on air.
No.
This is the first time we've done it this week.
Well, you say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's true. I mean, normally I have the secret flask, obviously, you know. Well, do you know, he bought me a bottle of whiskey, but then filled it with tea.
It's your birthday.
It is my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Are you having a good one so far?
I'm having a lovely birthday, yeah.
John, it was a prop.
Apart from having to do 3 hours with radio show with this idiot.
I'm too busy to go out and buy proper bottles of whiskey. I had an empty bottle at home. I got somebody to fill it with a bit of... But it was a prop. But I mean, I said to him, don't open it. I said, you don't need to open it.
What have you done with... Well, all right,
you seem to have 8 props. Yes. 8 bottles of prop.
If it's a prop, then where is the whiskey gone?
Well, there wasn't any in it because it was an empty bottle I got from my... I went to my local pub last night on the way home. So can you lend me a bottle of whiskey that's empty?
Can you lend me a bottle of whiskey that's empty?
Yeah. So they did.
So you're a whiskey drinker normally?
No, I don't. No, I'm not really a big whiskey drinker.
He's not a whiskey drinker at all.
Not really, no. You see, only 1/3 of my heart works, and it's dangerous to be drinking whiskey when you've got that problem.
Oh, I see.
Acute heart failure.
Which
I've been
part
fighting it
are
for 17 years.
you from a part of Scotland where the whiskey comes from?
Well, my family are from the Outer Hebrides.
I was going to say, you've got a sort of Highlandish
twang.
Yes,
my family are from the Outer Hebrides, but I come from Glasgow.
Okay.
But I like the very peaty whiskey from the West Coast.
Yeah.
You know, I love the Isla malts, Lagavulin, Ardbeg, those ones.
Yeah.
With the
Jura.
Jura's lovely.
Yep.
Jura's a lovely whiskey as well. I'm not quite so keen on the lighter ones.
No, okay. I very much enjoyed it. I lived in Glasgow my parents are both from Glasgow.
I didn't know that. Whereabouts?
Yeah. My mother was from a place called French Street in Renfrew. Opposite Babcock's and Wilcox factory. My father's from Cathcart.
Right, south side.
South side. I lived in Garnet Hill when I lived there.
Beautiful.
Around the back of the old the place that burned down. What was it?
The Glasgow School of Art.
The Glasgow School of Art.
Being beautifully rebuilt at the moment.
And then very briefly, just before I left, I had a place in Glasgow Harbour, which is now completely changed, right?
Yes, my father grew up in Garnet Hill, actually.
Oh, did he?
Buccleuch Street.
That's where I lived.
Did you really?
Number 36.
They were number 48.
I once went to America to buy some... I was seeing my family over there, and I went to a shopping centre, and they asked for my address, and I showed it to them on my driving licence. And she went, what is this, 36 something crazy street? They couldn't explain because it's spelt, with all those EUs and ACHs. Buccleuch.
Yeah. Now, what are the odds of that? Buccleuch Street.
Isn't that funny?
You were just a couple of closes down.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I always remember going to see my granny there, my granny and my grandpa.
Right.
And they'd
loved Garnet Hill.
Ground floor flat. I love Garnet Hill.
Yeah.
So it's a magical area.
It's a beautiful place. And I love Glasgow. It's brilliant.
Yeah, me too. I love Glasgow.
What the hell are you doing here?
Yeah.
Anyway, what's coming up on your show?
I go up and down.
We've got no time at all. Apparently, we're about 5 seconds.
We're asking at 4 o'clock, how do you solve a problem like Korea? Because
good.
of course,
That's good.
Of
Is good.
Of course, Q song.
Absolutely.
But it's all getting a bit scary, of course, because Donald Trump is ratcheting up the rhetoric.
We had him in the studio,
Did you?
Didn't we?
Yeah,
in the form of John Coleshaw.
John Coleshaw was brilliant. Best Trump impression I've ever heard.
Really?
He was tremendous. You might want to play it out, actually.
Well,
fantastic.
So
John.
all the tension is ratcheting up there with Pyongyang.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be looking at that. We're also going to be looking at sexualization of kids in school. Apparently kids as young as 5 are being suspended from class in primary schools because they're sharing porn.
Oh, God.
Where do they get hold of it? Why is it happening? And is it the right thing to suspend them?
The world's gone mad.
The world has gone mad, but it's all taking place right here after 4 o'clock. John Nicholson, this is Talk Radio.
What a bouquet.